welcome to the show, Kaylani.
Hi.
It's really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I think it's awesome that you want to do this and tell your story and get your story out there. For those of you who don't know, Kaylani and I met because I went to high school with her mom. Her mom and I's episode is going to be out next week with Connie, and Connie and I were in the same homeroom class all through high school together. And we talked for 2 hours about Connie's story, and a lot of it's like bullshit of us growing up. And when initially her mom and I were talking about doing the podcast, she was like, "Hey, my daughter wants to do your show," and I was like, "Really?" I was like, "All right." I was like, "Is she 18?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, yeah, I'm comfortable as long as you're comfortable." Like as the mom, like not that she needs to get permission, no permission slips were signed. But I just want, sometimes the mom to be comfortable with it. And she's like, "No, I trust you." And I'm like, "Okay, then let's fucking do it." So, here we are. Welcome to the show. You're 18. Did you just turn 18 or you're gonna be 19 soon?
I'll be 19 at the end of December.
Okay, cool. All right. And you don't have to say your birthday, but I know your birthday because I know your email address. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That makes a lot of sense now. And all right, so the end of December, and you'll be 19. So that is, we're in 2020. What year is that? I'm horrible at math right now. 2006?
2006.
2006. Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay. Now, where were you born at? Like, what state?
In Jersey, actually, in New Jersey.
Nice. That's where I was born too. And where part of Jersey were you living at the time when you were born?
I was born in Washington Township. I think my mom was living with my grandma at the time because she was she was in the military when she was pregnant with me.
Yeah. So, okay, that makes sense then. Yeah, because Audubon's. Well, I grew up in the next town over, but yeah, that's basically where I grew up. So you were born there initially. Do you remember how long you lived there for?
For Mama being in the military, we moved back and forth a lot. I think the last time I lived there was when I was in third grade. Like the first half of third grade, and then after third grade, we had moved to Florida with my mom. And then ever since then, we didn't move back, and then we lived in Tennessee, and then now we live in Georgia. So, I remember a little bit of it, like at the beginning. I don't remember the beginning of my life. I don't remember in Jersey. I remember it being in North Carolina when my brother was first born, because that's where she was at when she was married with his father. And then we moved back to Jersey after they were not together anymore. And then,
well, but let's not go too fast now. Let me let me catch up with you.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. No, it's cool. I know how it is. You start talking. It's cool. We're gonna have a conversation. It's gonna be back and forth. And at the end, I kind of want your mom to join this too.
Okay.
That's fine. This way we can kind of recap with your mom too a little bit. And that's at the very end. So growing up, and that was with your mom and your grandmom. Dad in the picture at all?
No, I didn't meet him until I think I was either 7 or 8. So I didn't know him at all.
How does that feel now, 10 years later, 12 years later? Growing up and you didn't get a chance to see was there any kind of like, do you resent him or your mom for not being able to see or have any kind of contact with him for that long? Was it his decision? Was it your mom's decision? It
was his decision. I don't resent any of them. It was his decision just because as I got older, I was told that he was really into drugs after I was born. And so he was just kind of like when I first heard it, I was kind of like, well, that's crazy that he kind of chose drugs over me. But as I got older and learned more about drug addiction, it's hard to stop and everything. So I don't resent him for it because I know he was doing what he felt was best for me. Part of me is like, sometimes I wonder, like, why did he do that instead of trying to get better for me? But again, like, I've never dealt with drug addiction myself, but I understand that it is hard. So I don't
That's
resent my mom either. So
that you don't what? You don't resent your
I
mom
don't.
either?
No, not for that
Not for that. You're like,
reason.
yeah, but not for that. You're
No,
like,
I
not
don't
for that.
resent her. I don't
Now,
resent her for that relationship. No.
that's a really mature way of looking at that with your dad. I'm gonna give you props for that because
Hmm.
I know people in their 30s and their 40s that still can't, look at it that way when it comes to like their dad choosing drugs over a relationship with them. And a lot of it is because um, they don't understand addiction, and you don't. And it's crazy to me that you understand addiction already at 19. I'll say you're 19. We're close to it. At
Yeah.
19, you understand addiction already, and you never even were a drug addict, and you understand the power of addiction enough to know that it makes sense that he chose one over the other. It doesn't make it right, you know.
No.
And I'm a drug addict, I'm not active in drug addiction, but I go to Narcotics Anonymous 7 days a week and raise my hand and say I'm JD and I'm an addict. Every single day I say that shit at 9 o'clock at night to announce myself,
Hmm.
and not that I'm proud of it, but it's who I am. For a long time, I would say I'm GD and I'm an alcoholic, but I went to Alcoholics Anonymous. And now I do Narcotics Anonymous because there's a difference. So, just to give you some history of addiction so you understand, Alcoholics Anonymous was the first 12-step program to ever begin. And then 20 years later, Narcotics Anonymous started, where it was more about drugs too, like harder drugs. Because in AA, they primarily want you to focus on talking about alcohol only. In NA, Narcotics Anonymous, they understand alcohol is considered a drug.
Hmm.
So I got clean and sober a while ago, 5, 7 years ago. And I had a relapse after my dad had passed away. And when I decided to quit, Xanax, like benzos, like pills for anxiety and depression. Like, I'm not sure how much you understand drugs, but
Hmm.
Xanax and like Valium are benzos, and they're for people that are experiencing severe depression. And within minutes, it takes your feelings away. And you get prescribed that by a psychiatrist. And so I did because my dad passed, and they were like handing them to me like candy, and didn't even question it. They're like, here's more, here's more, here's more. And so I decided to quit them and get clean last April, and I went back to Alcoholics Anonymous because that's where I knew Alcoholics Anonymous because I was an alcoholic and not just an drug user, but an alcoholic. Um, and I went back to AA and I started talking about my struggles with Xanax, and they were like, "Listen, we want to hear about your problems with alcohol here, not with Xanax. Like, this is AA." And
Hmm.
I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "I'm suffering." And they're like, yeah, sorry, but that's just our rules. So I went to Narcotics Anonymous where I can talk about drugs and I can talk about alcohol because it's all inclusive and doesn't like disparage one over the other. So that's why I do NA over AA now and not just AA. Just a little history lesson for you because
Hmm.
I know, if you're ever curious about that kind of stuff. All right. So you don't see your dad until you're 7 years old.
Hmm.
And we're gonna bounce around, by the way. All right, if you don't mind, we're gonna bounce all around.
That's
So
fine.
just bear with me. Don't worry, we'll keep track. I'll keep track of where we're at. So at 7, I get on one track mind and then I'll bounce back. So at 7, you meet your dad. Who initiates that meeting? Was it your mom, your dad, you? Like, what happened there?
So before I even met and had a relationship with my father, I would meet his parents every summer. I would go to California. I think it was like 3 summers that I would do it. And one summer, my great grandparents and my grandfather's parents were having their wedding renewal,
Mhm.
and he was going to be there. So it kind of just happened by chance. Um, I think at first, my mom was iffy about it, but my mom, ever since I was younger, she always kind of let us make our own decisions because she's always had the rule where it's like, I'm raising adults, not children. So you need to
Yeah.
learn how to
Yeah.
make your own decisions.
Yep.
So I mean, when you're 7 and you're like, oh my goodness, I get to meet my dad. Like, it's of course you're gonna say yes.
Mm.
So I was like, yeah, that's fine. I was nervous. I didn't want to stay with him, and I didn't stay with him. He came in. We all stayed in one house because it was basically kind of like a reunion.
Mm.
So he was there, but I didn't sleep in the same room as he did. I slept with my grandparents. And when we did go out, it was in groups. I was never by myself. But it was kind of just by coincidence, I guess. It was never really he initiated, I initiated. It just was a chance, and I took it. So
Was he still in active addiction when you met him?
no, he was already remarried. He had a daughter, and I think
Oh,
his wife, I don't remember if she was pregnant yet or if it was like a year before she got pregnant with their second child, but he had already had another daughter and he was married.
so he had another family, basically.
Hmm.
How did that make you feel at 7, knowing that you had a sister and another sibling on the way, that like your dad wasn't there and all of a sudden he has this new family? Like, how did that make you feel? Do you remember?
I already knew about my sister because my grandparents told me about her.
Uh,
Um, I don't really know how I felt. I don't think I could understand my feelings about that situation at the time. I think I was more excited than anything just because everything was so new and I had a
mm,
sister. Like I only had a brother. I never had a sister.
yeah.
So and all my girl like I had a bunch of girl cousins but never younger. So I was really excited to have a younger sibling and it was a girl that I get to play with. So that's all I really remember is just being really excited and it was something new. I don't think I really felt hurt by it. Again, I don't think I understood the situation well enough to be hurt.
How do you feel now, looking back on how that all unfolded? How do you feel now about kind of being, dumped on? Like, hey, here's another family. Like, now that you're more understanding, and not understanding, but more like, um, more intelligent and more in touch with your feelings. How do you feel about now in retrospect, when you know what was going on?
Now I'm kind of like sometimes I'm like, dang, like that's crazy. And sometimes I wonder if the drug was just an excuse because once you knew you got clean and everything, why didn't you come back?
Why? Yeah.
Why did you decide to just start over with somebody else? And it wasn't like my mom was holding him back. My mom was always open. Like if you want to have a relationship with him, you can. But he also never made an option for me to have one
Yeah.
because he just wasn't around. So I think now looking back on it, I'm just kind of like as a slap in the face. And
And not to throw him under the bus, he didn't fight to see you. It was coincidental.
mm-mm. Yeah, it was a coincidence. Like it really wasn't. He was like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
want to meet you. I want you to meet your like. I'm finally like
Yeah.
in a good place. I want you to meet everybody." No, it was just he just so happened to be there. I said we were just in the same place at the same moment, and that's how it happened. It wasn't really organic. It was kind of like situational.
Yeah. So this is 12 years ago. So we're talking 2013 ish. And so technology, those days it was a lot easier to be like on the phone or FaceTime and shit. Did you end up having a relationship with that sister?
Um, Kind of. She was a toddler. I think she was about 3 when I
Okay.
met her. So again, she was conscious and she knew who I was. Um,
But not like,
when enough to reach out and like us have our own conversations on the side and everything.
yeah.
Um, so whenever I would talk to her, I kind of had to talk. It was kind of like trying to think of how to describe it. Like a jail system is how I would describe it. You have to go through the front gate and get a bunch of questions and everything before you can even get to the person you're actually seeing.
Yeah.
Like that's how it felt every time we would get on a phone call. Like
Yeah.
I would talk to him, and he would knew who I was calling for,
Yeah.
and he would like ask me and everything, like how I was doing, make me have conversation with him in order for me to talk to her.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Um, so when was the next time you saw your dad after that?
I
Because I
saw
want to
him.
talk about your dad and you before we move around. So that's why we're going with him first.
I saw him one time after that, and thinking about it, I think that first time meeting him was probably a little bit earlier than 7, because I think around like my 8th birthday. So I think it was probably about to be 7 when I met him. So around my 8th birthday, I went. He was living in Chicago at the time, so I went to Chicago for my birthday. So I think I left the day after Christmas, and absolutely hated it. Cried the whole entire time, and I just wanted to go home, back with
Yep.
my mom. It was very different because there wasn't a buffer. Before, when I met him, there was a buffer because I was with my grandparents.
Yeah.
So I wasn't with him 24/7 when I went. It was like we went out to eat when we had family things going on, the wedding, we were all around each other, but it wasn't consistently 24/7 with him. And when I went in for Christmas to Chicago, it was hard. And probably because at that point, she had just, so yeah, she had the baby, the second one, and then she was pregnant again.
What?
Yes. And so he didn't even take off of work when I was there. So he was still working, which he was the only one working at the time anyway. So now I'm like, I understand. But I was
Yeah, you're
left.
yeah.
Yeah. I was left with a woman I didn't even know. And
The
it was
dad you didn't even
hard.
know.
Yeah. I didn't even know him, but I kind of knew him more than I knew the rest of them.
Would he
So,
FaceTime you and shit after you met him the first time?
yes, we would talk occasionally. It wasn't like consistently, probably like once a week we would talk.
Okay.
And I think I actually think the Chicago trip was him. I think he was the one who was like, you should come. Like, we actually are settled down in our place. Like, I have a job and everything. You would love it. It snows. So, and he like had a bunch of stuff planned.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, we'll go. And at that time, it was a transition. It was also a transitional period too for me because before I went to Chicago, I was living with my grandmother, and so instead of going back with my grandmother to Chicago, I was going to Florida to live with my mom. So it was a lot going on at the time.
Yeah.
It was a transitional period, and it was not easy at all. Um, and again, I didn't know my stepmom. They're still married, so like I didn't know her, and from the energy that I got from her, she did not like me at all.
Mm.
She would, and I was 8 years old and I was babysitting a toddler and basically a newborn because she was tired. Because pregnancy, I mean, you get tired, but you have 2 kids,
You
you
got it.
should already get used to this already.
Yeah.
So, she would be taking naps and I would be sitting there with practically a newborn and a toddler, trying to entertain them both and myself at the same time.
And yourself. I mean, like that is a lot to put on, an 8-year-old that doesn't have a relationship with these kids.
Hmm.
That's legit what a teenage babysitter would do is just watch the kids and make sure they don't die.
Yeah.
That's all you can do because you're not relatable to them. And your dad would be working. So like, and that was the last time you saw your dad in person.
Hmm.
Shit. Has
Yeah.
he tried to invite you out since then?
No. No.
No.
And actually, I think after that, we didn't talk because a lot of stuff happened when I was there. It was also a culture shock because his wife is Filipino. So, like, the
Okay.
food is very different. And I remember
Yes.
one situation, like, even when we would go out, she wouldn't go with us. It was just me and him. So, I remember one situation, he was at work and she had made a whole fish and it still had the eyes, the bone, and everything. Now I'm 8 years old. That thing scared the crap out of me. I was
Yeah.
like,
No. No. Thank
I
you.
don't want to eat this. Is it still supposed to be in the ocean? Like, I surprised I did not become a vegetarian after that. Like, I was terrified.
Wait,
And
you're a
so I was,
vegetarian?
no, I'm not. I said I'm
Oh.
surprised I didn't become
Oh,
one
you
after
surprised
that.
you did. Okay.
Yeah, I was terrified of it.
Yeah.
And like even like now I'll eat that, but when I was 8, my mom never put that on our plate.
Yeah.
So I wasn't used to it at all. And I was just like, I don't want to eat it. Like it has eyes. Like I was like, it's staring at me. And she got mad and she was like, well, then I guess you're just not going to eat. And my mom was like, well, that's not. So I called my mom. I had like a little flip phone at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had it to where I only knew how to just call her. So because
Mm-hmm.
she had it on speed dial.
Yeah.
And I would call her and I'm like, Mama, like, she was going to give me this. And it was looking at me like I'm hungry. And she said she wasn't going to give me anything. And so she called my dad and he ended up bringing a slice of pizza home. But she made a huge deal about me not eating it and him bringing a slice of pizza home and how I was spoiled and how I'm so unappreciative. Yes.
Oh my God,
So
Kaylani,
I
that
did
is.
not,
Oh my God.
yeah. So after that, I didn't talk to him. Really, he didn't talk to me. And again, I
He
also
stopped
didn't
calling.
really
He
reach
stopped
out.
calling once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did. He stopped calling, and then you. I'm sure that made you be like, I'm not going to call him either.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, because there wasn't really anything, it's hard to miss something when it was never really there.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it kind of was confusing because I was like, why did he stop calling? Like, I don't know why. Like, I didn't know if it was my fault. I was like, did something happen? Like, I was mad at my mom. I was like, what did you say to him? Like, what's going on? Like, why isn't he calling me? But that was probably like for the first, like, maybe month, maybe half of a month. And then after that, I was just kind of like, didn't really cross my mind at all.
Okay. And today at 19, how do you feel about how that went down at 8?
It's I guess there's nothing for me to really say. I know if it was me in that situation again, I'm just like, okay, you don't have to feed me. Like, I'll go feed myself. But again, at 8 years old, I'm very much dependent on who's taking care of me at the time. And
Which you should
I,
be as an
yeah,
8-year-old.
yeah. And now at almost 19, like, if an 8 year old, if I'm making something and she's like, no, I don't like that, or they're like, I don't like that, I'm just gonna be like, okay, so what do you like? I can make you a sandwich.
Yeah,
I can make you a bowl of cereal. Like, it didn't even have to be buying me a slice of pizza. A bowl of
yeah,
cereal would have been perfectly fine.
yeah,
But refusing to give me anything to eat what you cooked, knowing that first of all, you're not even making your younger daughter eat that.
yeah.
So why
Grab
are
me
you
some damn
making me?
Cheerios. Grab me some
Yeah,
Cheerios. But I can't reach the bowls. Like grab me a bowl and I'll
yeah,
pour the Cheerios. Just help me out so I can't reach it.
yes.
Yeah,
Just give me the bowl and the milk, and I'm fine. I can do
I'll do
everything
the
else.
rest. That's wild, Kaylani. That's wild. How long were you out there for before you came back home?
I think I was only there for a week, so I
Okay.
think it was the longest week. It felt longer than a week.
How
So my mom
long this
just
week?
my mom was just like, "It's okay. Like, you're gonna be home soon. Like, you're only there for a week. You're only there for this amount of days left. Like, you'll be home soon." So I kind of just stuck it out. After
And
that,
so where did you sleep at when you were there? It was like a couch or
no, there was an extra room. All the kids slept with him. Like, they all co-slept. So the room that was my
what?
sister's room, yeah. So the baby was in like a bassinet
Gotcha.
kind of playpen thing,
Yeah,
and then my sister would sleep in the bed with them. So what was her bed is where I slept when I was there. Um,
interesting.
yeah.
Did,
So
did your sister always sleep with them?
I she was still really
Or
young. So I think it was like that
okay,
they were trying to transition
gotcha.
her to
Okay,
sleeping by herself.
okay. I was gonna say okay. All right. So when you came back home, that was when you went down to Florida, right? That's when you were living in
Hmm.
Florida. Okay. And not really any contact with your dad since then.
No.
No phone
Um,
calls, no birthday cards.
nope. The
Friends
last
on,
time
friends on
I
Facebook.
no, I don't have him on Facebook. I don't have my stepmom on Facebook. I see their stuff because I have my grandfather still on Facebook. He's the only one that didn't unadd me. Um,
Oh, they unadded you?
my grandmother unadded me, and yeah, there was after graduation, a whole thing happened, and she stopped talking to me. Um, and then my father, last time I heard from him was my birthday, and he texted me the night before, and it just said, "Don't party too hard," and I haven't heard from him since.
Your birthday last year when you turned 18.
When I turned 18, yeah.
Don't party too hard. Cool, Dad.
Yeah.
Um, cool, Dad. Great advice. How mature is your grandma? I'm not trying to see her talk shit, but how mature is your grandmother to unadd you? on Facebook, like a teenager.
Yeah. So
Like, can
like
you tell me a little bit about that, please, if you don't
yeah.
mind? Okay.
So this was his mother.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
Um,
course. Yeah.
growing. So like I said, I would go to California. I think
In the
I went
summers.
3 times in the summer. So there was
Yeah.
like 3 years in a row that I went,
Uh-huh.
and at the time we were really close. I was the first girl to be born in the family on their side.
Hmm.
So whenever I did go and everything like that, she was like, I was spoiled as heck. They did everything they could, a bunch of experiences. They took me to a lot of places, and I'm very grateful for it. But as I've gotten older, I think when I decided I didn't want to have a relationship with my father, and when I lived in Florida, my mom had gotten remarried, and that's the person I consider my dad. I even took his last name at one point, so I now have his last name. And when that whole thing happened, they said, "Well, then you're not our family anymore."
Get the hell out of
And
here.
they basically disowned me at
Wow.
12. I think it was 12.
12?
11. I think it was like 11 or 12 when it happened.
Oh,
Yes. That's when it was not. We weren't even the papers weren't even filed yet. It was just a topic of discussion, and they were just like, "Well, then you're not our family anymore." So,
like she said that to you.
hmm
Like
they
not
said, "Well,
even
if you don't have our last name, then what's the point of us trying?" Is basically what she said.
what?
Yes.
Oh my, was this on the phone or was this like in a
hmm
text message
It
or
was
Facebook
on the
Messenger?
phone. It was on the phone call. I
She
think
was
I was
gonna say
talking.
she said that shit to a 12-year-old girl that the father abandoned and she wanted to be part of your life. So she would fly you out to California on the summers to spend time with her and your grandfather.
hmm
You did that 3 times, right? And then as you got older, it got harder to do. I'd imagine because you were doing other things like sports, probably or whatever.
Yes.
We'll get into those in a second, in a couple minutes. All right. So, and then your mom gets remarried, and he adopts you, right?
hmm
And you take his name because he adopted you, and he was
hmm
going to be dad. You call him dad.
Yes, I still
Cool.
do. I still call
Yeah,
him
that's
that.
what I mean. That's awesome because your parents aren't. You're not even with your mom's not married to that dude anymore, is he?
Mm-mm.
Is she? And you still call him dad.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
it's that's kind of like my wife. Um, my wife's dad pieced out when they. My wife's non-binary, so I say they them. My wife, my wife's dad left when they were two, and didn't see him for the rest of his life because he died when they were 27.
Oh,
Um, then the mom had a boyfriend between the ages of 4 and 6. And that guy is who they call dad to this day. Who I consider my father-in-law, even though they were never even married officially. And this guy has taken care of my wife, paid child support because my wife's mom said to him, "You can be part of her life as long as you pay me child support."
wow.
And so, and he did. And that's got men don't do that usually. So I commemorate him for doing that. And he's in AA. He's sober 35 years, and he's a great guy. And I'm glad that he's stuck around and looked after my wife to be their dad. And I think that's a really admirable thing that most guys wouldn't do. Um, so I understand they don't have his last name like you do, but still they call him dad. And it's been 35 years of calling him dad. And I think that's really awesome, for my wife to have that kind of bond with a guy that took care of them growing up when nobody else would. So
hmm
I understand why you took his last name. I understand why you call him dad to this day. And I really think that's cool as hell. So yeah. And did your dad get butthurt that all of a sudden you use this other dude's last name too?
No, he signed the papers. He was fine with it. Yeah,
He was
he was. He was like, if that's what she truly wants, then I'll do that. And at this, like, he was doing everything he needed to do. So he paid child support. There was times where he didn't pay child support, but he paid child support. and everything. So, but it's kind of like, to me, the way it sounded when he said it was kind of like he didn't have the obligation anymore. It was kind of like, oh, free up a little bit of money. So
No more,
he,
yeah, no more child support payments,
yeah,
fam.
that's what it
Yeah.
was. So he had to pay up until that. So I got adopted May 15th. So he had to pay the rest. So I think at the end of May was the last time he had to ever pay child support.
I'm
And
sorry. That's so
so he
fucked.
just signed it. Yeah, he just signed it, which I was grateful for because I was like,
Yeah,
that's the least he
you're
could do,
free.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. So he didn't make it difficult. It was more his family that did.
yeah.
But I don't talk to her anymore. I don't actually talk to either one of them anymore. Um, After my attempt, they had reached out. My mom contacted them and told them. She was like, she felt obligated to because they're my family, and at one point, they were a big part
Mm,
of my life, and they were also part of the reason too. Um, and so I had talked to them on and off, like occasionally, probably like once a month since that happened.
mm,
And I think it was around August. It was a little bit before August. It was like last year during, I think, July, when me and my grandfather had gotten into a disagreement about what I posted on Facebook about deadbeat dads. It was just like jokingly, like I have post whatever.
yeah.
I was 16, 17, so I just didn't care. I just posted whatever I wanted, and even then it wasn't even really about him because this be surprising, but my adopted dad, actually, I don't talk to him either. He doesn't talk to us either. So I'm like, the choice of men, mama, your
Don't
choice
worry,
of men.
we'll get into that one too, Kaylani. We'll
So,
catch up. We're gonna go.
so,
We're gonna go down the lanes. All right. Well, I'm just starting with your biological dad first. All
mhm.
right. So
So,
you were just talking about men in general, basically, when you were
mhm,
posting it, and you thought it was
mhm.
funny that you
Yeah,
reposted it. That's what you do when you find something funny. You're like, fuck it, that's funny. Repost,
yeah,
share. You hit that share
yeah.
button, you move on. So he gave you shit, and you guys had disagreement, and you really haven't talked to him since.
No, I really didn't.
Yeah.
And then I made a post where it was like, if you don't like what I post, then you can unfriend me. And he actually didn't. They both had kept me on Facebook. I was just like, it's really easy just to unfriend me. Like I keep you guys updated with my life. I talk to you guys at least once a month. So
Yeah.
it's not like you need to be on my Facebook to keep up with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But he ended up staying on my Facebook, so obviously it wasn't that big of a deal. And um, but I didn't talk to him that much because I was just kind of like, it was a control. I felt like he was kind of trying to control my life, and now especially when I feel that, I'm like, I don't need you. Like there's a door out.
Yeah.
I'm walking away. Like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna even engage in that. Um, it just scares me. I just can't.
Yeah.
So I really
You
didn't
make
talk to
very
him much.
mature. You make very mature decisions for someone late teens. I'll give you that.
Thank you.
Um, the have you been in therapy?
I have been in therapy for, it's gonna be 2 years this
Okay.
week. Yeah.
So yeah, so you've been in therapy. Okay, so since the attempt, you
Mhm.
started therapy, and we're gonna like I said, we're gonna catch up to all that. But I bounce around. It's just what I do. I like to bounce around. It's an organic conversation. We don't need to talk in order. That's
Mhm.
boring to me. It's so boring. Like, all right, so now you're 4 years old. What happened next? Now you're 5. What happened? That's boring to
Yeah.
me. All right. So you learned a lot about yourself when you got into therapy 2 years ago. Because
I feel
the way
like
you
a lot
talk,
of
the way you
clarity. Yeah.
talk, it sounds like you've been in therapy. That's why I asked that.
Mhm. I feel like a lot of clarity
Okay.
happened when I was in
Mhm.
therapy, and a lot of justification,
Yeah.
and I would say learning. I did learn a lot about myself and learn a lot about why I did and felt the things I did. So it did help me a lot, and I'm very grateful for my therapist. I love her so much. She's amazing. I
I
do
love
not miss
mine
a
too.
week.
I had therapy
Yes,
this morning. I had therapy earlier today. And
me and her, I just love our relationship. Like I think I've only been in therapy one time before, but it was because it was um, what is it
oh,
called? Court ordered.
we'll
Yeah,
get into that. We'll get into that.
yeah,
Don't worry, 'cause I want to hear about that.
yeah.
So yeah, therapy is amazing, and that's why I started this show. I'm not a therapist. I was going to school to be one. And then, like your dad chose drugs over you, I chose drugs over school.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like sitting here 38, 39 years old, or 38 when I start the show. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have finished school. And I take care of my wife. My wife has multiple sclerosis, so they're on permanent disability.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't work because their MS is so bad. They're like chair bound and everything. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure how familiar you are with MS, but it's really debilitating. When you try to like walk and do all the things. And so I take care of them. I work from home, so that I can be home and near them. And so I was like, I'm not going back to school. Like, fuck that. Like, and I was like, but I want to help people tell their story because I feel like I've been told so many times with my other show about addiction that I'm good at helping people tell their story and kind of weaving through all the bullshit. And, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to do it as an unlicensed therapist. That's my show name, Unlicensed Therapist. So that's kind of like the birth of this show,
Mm-hmm.
is me deciding I'm not going to go to school, but I can help people at least tell their story and give them a place to come and feel safe and talk in an open setting if they're comfortable to talk publicly about their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I commend you for doing this. It's really not easy, but it can really cathartic, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're done with dad. We're done with bio dad, as we can call him, bio
Yeah.
dad. Not in your life anymore. And right now your grandpop is watching this and he's stewing. Sorry, grandpa, for upsetting you. Shout out to grandpa for watching this right now because he is. And your grandma's not happy either for unfriending you and me calling her
Yeah.
out for that. But GERALDDILKS@gmail.com. Hit me up, grandma, if you're that upset. Straight up. So all right. Now you're young, you're bouncing around states, and bouncing around living with your grandmom in Audubon, and while your mom was in the army, and right, is that what was
Mm-hmm.
happening? You're living with your mom in the army, living with
I
your
was
grand.
No, I was living with her. I was living with my mom when she was in the
Mm,
army. So when she was moving back and forth, I lived with my grandma for about 2 years when my mom was in Florida. Um, Even now, I really don't know. I hear a bunch of different stories. She says it was because she was in school and she didn't have a place at the time. So she was like, I need to be stable before I bring you guys. Other people outside of like from my family are like, oh, well, she was in Florida for rehab and everything. So, yeah. So I really don't know. Obviously, I'm like, I believe my mom. I've never
yeah,
met my mom to have to be in rehab. I've never seen her down and bad enough to have to be in
yeah.
rehab. Anytime
There's
she's
never
always picked up herself.
yeah. And
So,
rehab is a 28-day thing, by the way,
yeah, not 2 years.
not 2 years.
So, but
Yeah,
growing
that's
when I
wild.
was younger, I didn't know that. So,
No, that's a bunch of hater talk. That's people that want to, paint a picture for somebody that they don't like. That's
mm-hmm.
bullshit. Even sober living, if there's sober livings that allow children, there literally are sober livings all over the country, specifically for single mothers to have children there. And you
Mm-hmm.
live there with a bunch of other single moms who have children. So I know that for a fact because of my other show and being in recovery for 7 years. So that's bullshit. No, I
Yeah.
don't buy that whatsoever. Like there's literally in Jersey, in Lancaster, PA, like I know a bunch. Honestly, I know a
Yeah.
bunch of rehabs and sober livings that allow single moms there with their children. So no, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So if you told Kaylani that I just burst your bubble and you're watching this again, GERALDDILKS@gmail.com, hit me up. It is what it is. Um, your mom knows this about me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
am very straightforward. All right. So, how did it make you feel not being around your mom for those 2 years? Did you not understand because you were too young to not understand?
I didn't, and I was being fed a lot of different stories. Um,
Who was feeding you those stories, Kelani?
so my mainly my grandmother, and I love her still to this day. I love her to death, but she hasn't always been the best grandparent. Um, and her, my family as well. So when I was younger, when I was living with my grandma, I was told my whole entire story basically when my mom got pregnant and was told that my mom didn't want me and that she was going to put me up for adoption and that this was her way out for both of us because she never wanted kids. And my mom would tell me all the time she didn't want kids, but she was blessed with 2 kids. So I knew that. So it was kind of like, oh my goodness, my mom lied to me. Like she lied to me. She didn't want kids and everything like that. She did leave us here. And again, I was confused because I didn't know what the situation was. And they would tell me one thing, she would tell me another thing. So, and obviously at the time I was listening to my grandma because she was one taking care of me and everything and everybody, and it was basically 100 against one. So everybody was telling me the same story, and she was saying like, no, that's not true, like I promise, like I'm trying to make a good life for you out here and everything. And when we moved there, she had her rooms decorated, had my brother's room decorated, like she did all of our stuff before she could even get her own room
Yeah.
situated.
It's because your mom's the way she is. I respect the
Mm-hmm.
hell out of your mom. And your mom's episode comes out next week, a week after your episode. Your episode comes out first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're gonna, I'm sure, watch your mom's episode, and you're gonna be curious. I'm gonna give you a
Mm-hmm.
spoiler alert of what your mom
Okay.
said. She was gonna give you up for adoption. She had every ounce in her was gonna give you up for adoption. And then she held you and looked at you and said, "There's no way I'm letting this girl go."
Yeah, I've heard that story a lot. Every year on my birthday, she tells me that story.
Yeah,
So that's probably why it hurt more because it was like, oh my god, it's a story that I'm being told every year. Like it's when she says it, it's comforting, but when they were saying it, it was like it's a lie.
maliciously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was really hard and it was really confusing, and I feel like in that time period of living, a lot of I would say I didn't understand my emotions, so I would probably say I was starting to get depressed at that time, and a lot of my trauma started to come around that time. Obviously, like when I was younger, it builds up and like some things that happen when you're younger. But no, this was like the tip of the iceberg. Like it was like, okay, here's the start button. Now good luck trying to find the stop button because did
now, how
not
old
stop.
were you when this? How old were you when this? 6.
I was yeah, I was about 6, so it was for 2 years, so 6 to 8. It was
Okay,
going on for two
and this was
years.
during you were in Florida
This was when I lived in Jersey. This is when my mom was in Florida.
before you went down to Florida.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay, and then at 8 you went down to Florida.
Mhm.
But you saw your mom in those 2 year periods, right?
Yeah. Every once in a while I did. My grandma made it very, very difficult for my mom to see us.
Yeah.
Um, so I did see her like a couple of times for like the holidays and for like my birthday, but at the same time, my mom, she fought any like if my grandma made it, well, you can't stay here. And at the time, my uncles weren't speaking with my mom either, so they were like, no, you can't. They wasn't even an option to call them. My aunts and uncles just were just like absolutely not. So with all of that, she still found a way to come see us. So obviously, looking back, I'm like, well, I know everything they told me was a lie because if that was the truth, she wouldn't go through all those hoops to
Yeah.
come and see us.
And when you're in
Um,
sober living, you don't get that long of a pass.
mm-mm,
You can't be gone for that long when you're in sober living.
yeah.
So because I lived in a sober living personally in Los
Mm-hmm.
Angeles, and far away from my family in Jersey because I grew up, going to Audubon, and I couldn't see my family because you only get a weekend pass at the most, and you could only get one when you were sober for like over a year. And some
Mm-hmm.
sober livings require you to be there for 18 months before they give you a weekend pass.
It's crazy.
So, that's not, I don't believe that. I don't believe it at all. And she didn't tell me that. And I don't believe it. So, yeah, I don't believe that shit.
Yeah, no.
That's wild. I'm sorry that they just were trying to make you basically hate her, is what it
Hmm.
sounds like.
And they got very close to it because when I moved back with her, was I was so bad. I was so bad just because I got resentment. So I was rebelling against everything that she said at the beginning. And
What were you
then
doing?
I just wasn't listening to her. I
Mm.
was very disrespectful. I basically made her life really hard at the beginning. I think probably like for the first couple months. And then it was fine. Everything was fine. Like we got really close again. Like I've always been close to my mom. So I don't think it was really that hard to forgive her from things. And plus, she kind of said, she was like, you know what, this is enough. Like, I'm going to sit down and tell you this is not what happened. These are the people who I stayed with. This is the job. I'll show you how long. And I'm like younger. I'm like, why are you doing all of this? Like, I don't know why you have to show me all of this. I don't even know what I'm looking at. And, um, so we got really close. And then I feel like after I started having a relationship with my grandmother again, that's when everything kind of went downhill again with me being bad, like disrespectful, being just defiant of everything. So,
And you were in Florida at this time?
hmm
Okay. And how long did you guys stay down? And this is with your new stepdad or your new dad that you call dad, right?
they did not. Yeah, they did not get together until I think about a year after I had lived there.
Oh, okay. So you were like 10 years oldish.
I was like, I think I was 9 when they got together. Yeah, because it was about a year, so I was about to be 10. Because the
Okay.
first time I met him was at my brother's birthday. So,
Okay. So we'll call it 10. We'll round up to
hmm
10. And when did they get married? And you were 12.
I
Like
was, I think I was like either 11 or 12.
11. And then, okay. And at this point, you were spending so much time in his life because you were living together, I'm sure, at this
hmm
point, and they were engaged and then married. Um, who asked you about being adopted? Was that your dad's idea?
He
We're
had,
gonna follow dad number two now, Lane. Is that cool?
okay,
We're
yeah,
gonna
that's
now that
fine.
he's in your life, I want to follow that lane.
Um, he had mentioned, I think he had mentioned it to her. I remember them having a conversation about it, and it was because of the benefits that he got. He was like, I'd be able to take better care of them, like be able to have a little bit more freedom to do certain things first that he wanted to do. And I just remember overhearing the conversation. And then at the time, this is when TikTok was musically. So I remember seeing, it was around Christmas time when I remember seeing a video of someone asking their stepdad to adopt them and take their last name. So then I went and talked to my mom about it and I told her about it. And then my brother was like, oh my goodness, like I do too. And because that was our dad, especially for my brother, that was his dad. Like even now, like no one can talk bad about him because that's his dad. And I think it was around Christmas time that I had mentioned it to him that I wanted him to adopt me and take his last name. And he was like, yes, of course, like I would love that. So it was kind of both because he didn't mention it to me, he mentioned it to her, and she was like, I'm not going to force him to do that unless they want to do it.
Okay, so
And
were you listening? Were you like eavesdropping into their conversation, or
kind
did
of
your
because
mom
our
come to you and
rooms,
say, or did your mom come to you and say, "Hey, I was just talking to blah blah blah," and we don't have to say his name, but I was just talking to him, and about possible adoption. What do you think about that?
no, our rooms were across from each other, so I just heard the conversation being
Okay,
had.
yeah,
So I guess eavesdropping. I just
okay,
heard a brief moment of the conversation. I didn't hear the whole thing.
and then it sparked your curiosity, and then you saw the TikTok,
hmm
and you're like, "Oh shit, okay, mom, I think I want to do this."
hmm
Okay.
So, and I didn't. I think I thought it was going to be easier than what it was because I'm like, oh, it's just a piece of paper. You just have to sign it, which technically it's kind of what it is. You're signing the other father signing their rights away to
Yeah.
another one. But there's money that goes into it, time that goes into it. Um, you have to go to court and everything. So I think during the process, it took a few because I think we mentioned it in Florida And then when it actually happened, I was living in Tennessee. And I think we did it when I did it before I went into 7th grade. So it was a minute before. Um,
It got official. It's not
yeah,
an overnight thing. It doesn't take.
no,
It doesn't happen overnight.
yeah, it was a
And
while.
your grandparents, your paternal grandparents, had no idea you were doing this until it became official.
I no, they stopped talking to me before it became official because I mentioned
Oh,
it to them.
okay, okay, all right,
Yeah,
all right.
because
Now
at this,
looking
mhm,
back on it now, um, do you regret having him adopt you?
no, I
Okay.
don't.
Do you regret changing your last name?
No, I don't. I don't
Okay.
regret any of it.
Okay. Now your mom and your dad, now your dad, are together. Now you're in Tennessee. You briefly just kind of skimmed over it a little bit ago. You don't talk to him anymore.
Mm-mm, I don't.
Can we get into that?
Um, so at this time, so they were divorced. They had been separated for I think a year before they actually got divorced. And
Or they get separated.
so he had PTSD, severe PTSD, and he was diagnosed as a narcissist. And he was in the military. He was a retired veteran because of the PTSD, and he was very verbally, emotionally, financially, and then eventually physically abusive. Um, my mom kind of stayed with him for a while for me and my brother. Um, when I remember a lot, I think the first time he would have episodes and he would end up in the hospital, the VA hospital. And the first time I think I was in school and I came home and there was a pot of rice on the floor. Like the pot of rice was upside down, and a bunch of rice all over the living room and the kitchen. And my mom didn't have time to clean it up. She rushed him to the hospital, then rushed to go pick us up from school. And we came home and it was there. So she
Yeah,
kind of had no choice but to explain what happened. Like, where's my dad and why is there a pot of rice on the floor?
yeah.
Um,
And so, how old was this? Were you when this was happening? How old were you when this was happening?
I was in no, not 4th grade. I was in fifth.
You were
I
11.
remember
No, fifth
it
grade. You were
was
11.
it was towards the end of elementary school. So I think I was in 5th grade or about to be in 5th grade.
Okay, so like 11 years old. No, that would
Hmm.
no. You were already
The
adopted by then.
No, this point I was not adopted.
Oh, okay,
I was
okay,
not.
all right. I see.
Yeah,
And you
so
weren't
this was
adopted yet.
yeah.
And was he ever verbally abusive to you?
No, he was
And
only to my mom.
never physically abusive to you?
No,
Okay.
no. It was. I mean,
You said
eventually,
financially abusive.
yes.
So
So
did he withhold money from your mom?
yes, my mom
Okay.
became a stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
and you know, didn't get. He would cut her off like, oh, um, like he would also. My mom was one who paid the bills, so she had access to all the bank accounts. And at one point, he didn't pay. He cut her off, and he didn't pay the like certain bills and everything like that. And so then my mom was like begging him, like, I need to be in this because, or like, I need to be on the account because you're obviously not doing what you need to do. And it wasn't like she was taking anything because he monitored it constantly,
He was a
making sure.
lawyer, right? Was he a
Hmm.
lawyer? Okay.
He's not anymore, but he was at
Yeah,
this time. He was.
yeah.
Um, so I just remember arguments about that, and like he was just like, "Oh, I can take care of you guys." Like my mom had been working her butt off since the moment she found out she was pregnant with me. So
Hmm.
she was, to her it was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can take a break. And then at this point, like in Florida, after we were in school and I was bullied in school, so my mom was like, "It's fine, we'll just homeschool." So she was home with us and we were homeschooled for a short period of time.
Which mean, your mom's a very intelligent girl, so I mean, it makes
Hmm.
sense that she could homeschool you, and she's very um uh she cares about she knows that education's important,
Hmm.
and she's persistent, and she's not going to give up on you either. And now you said you were getting bullied.
Hmm.
Can we talk about what was going? Why were you getting bullied?
When I lived with my grandma, I did put on a lot of weight. I put on emotional eating.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty chunky. And plus I hadn't hit puberty yet. Like I was about to hit it was the time where you're about to hit puberty, you're kinda like in the awkward stage.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I was really chunky and I was one of the tallest ones in my class, which is funny because now I'm like shorter than everybody.
Wow, how tall are you now?
Well now I'm 5'5", but at the
Okay.
time, so but there's I don't know what they feed people in the South because they're tall as heck. Um,
Basically, you were 5'5" then, and then you were
yeah,
tall, and now you stopped growing. You've been 5'5" your whole life.
yes. So I was like the tallest, biggest kid in my class and everything, and people would just pick, like, especially girls, they would say like, "Oh, you're dumb, you're fat, you're ugly," and all this stuff. And I was rode the bus, so it was mainly people on the bus. Like they would pull my hair, they would take my the typical things you see in the movies. Like they would take
Yeah.
your lunch, pull your hair, call you
Yeah.
names, and I didn't know how to defend myself because, I mean, I had never gone through that before, and the only people who had really been mean to me like that were adults in my
Yeah.
family.
Which
So
sucks. Yeah.
so you're kind
Yeah.
of like you can't say anything. Like I don't know what to say. What am I supposed to do? Um, so my mom took us out of school, and plus the education in Florida isn't the best. So
No.
my mom was just like, "It just take
It's
us out."
so far down the list. It's so far down the list of states. Like I just want to now. I want to say it's in the last five. All right. I'm
Yeah,
gonna say
it's
it's
not that.
worst schools in country order by state. Let's see here. Okay. It is okay. It's not in the lowest ranked are Arkansas, Louisiana, Nevada, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. Are the bottom ranks. Um, Florida is where's the freaking list at? Oh, here we go. New Jersey number 3. Not surprised. New Jersey has a great school system.
Yes, they
Um,
did.
but
I feel like I lots.
but yeah, Florida is in the bottom 10 though. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
they're
sense.
not the best school
No.
system. So
So how old were you when the bullying started? Like third grade, second grade, fourth grade?
mm, about second grade.
Damn, that's a young time.
Yes. So I feel like it started earlier, but I'm not as conscious of it because
Yeah.
um, when I first got into school, I didn't know English. So if they did
Oh,
say
really?
anything, I probably didn't know. Um, and
Why didn't you
then
know English?
because when we growing up, my mom only spoke Spanish to us.
No shit.
So and then eventually
You
I
didn't tell
learned
me that. You didn't tell me
yeah
that.
I learned English really fast
Okay.
because when I got back into school, I was in ESOL, and then she spoke English to us. She started speaking English to us at home. But growing up with my great grandmother and my the older side of my
Hmm.
family, they didn't know English, so we only spoke Spanish, and they were taking care of us. So my mom was like, "You guys," she wanted to make sure we could communicate with them.
Yeah, that's really cool
So
though that you're completely fluent in Spanish. You've
yeah,
been
kind of. If you ask
not
my cousin,
anymore.
they
You're like
say
not
no.
anymore.
No, not as much anymore, just because I've spoke English so much longer.
Yeah,
But I
that's
can hold a conversation.
yeah, that's so funny, Kalani. But you're getting bullied because your English isn't that well, and
Mhm.
your weight, and because you were taller, and by boys and girls or just girls.
Mainly girls, but boys too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and around that time, he had like little crushes, and they're always like, they'll be like, "Oh, he'll never like you because of whatever." Like, there's just it's just petty things, like
yeah,
so
it is.
minute
Yeah,
things that you wouldn't even. Now I'm just like, okay, whatever. But you're in second grade, you're like, oh my goodness, my feelings are hurt. Like,
yeah.
so,
And your
um,
feelings are allowed to be hurt. Then it's a really messed up thing.
yeah, and kids are mean. They were really
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, they really are. I don't know. I'm afraid of kids. My kid's 11, and he's gotten bullied, and it's really tough as a parent to tell your kid how to handle it because I'm 39, and when I got bullied, when I got taught how to handle it with my fists. That's how I was supposed to handle it, was put up your fists and fight them and they'll stop. That's how I was
Mhm.
told. Now it's 2025 and you can't teach your kid to do that.
No.
That's in the 90s. That's how my dad taught me to deal with bullies. So, now as a modern parent, I'm like, how do I deal with this shit? Um, so anyway, you start getting bullied, but eventually you move, right? That's when you move to
Hmm.
Tennessee.
We moved
And
to Tennessee.
your dad's problems though are now progressing when it comes to like the
Hmm.
abuse.
Yes, the longer we were with him, the worse it got. In Tennessee, that's when he started getting more physical. He never like broke skin and there wasn't blood, but he would push, and then
Push
he would
you.
no, not towards me, towards my mom,
Okay.
and it was more. It wasn't more private. It was less private. So it was more like around us. Um,
So
so
you have
he,
memories,
yes.
of 6 years ago. Obviously, it's only 6 years ago. You can recall seeing your mom getting thrown around. Basically,
Hmm.
was he a
Um,
big guy?
he wasn't big, but he was taller than her.
Okay.
And when you're mad and you black
Yeah.
out, you're stronger than what you think you are.
Is he a
So
Marine?
no, he was army
Army.
veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Oh, was your brother's father Marines? Is that what I'm thinking
Hmm.
of? Okay, I
He
knew
was
one was.
very physically abusive, and those are the earliest memories I have of my
But you
life.
see your mom get abused by your brother's father as well.
Hmm.
How'd that
Yes,
make you feel then?
I was scared.
Yeah.
I mean, I was around 3 years old, and
And you
that's
remember
literally
that shit?
the earliest memory I have. And I just remember like her screaming for help and stuff like that, like telling me. Like I remember a phone call, and he one time got abusive, like physical with me,
No shit.
because I told on him about smoking a cigarette. Because at the time I had really bad asthma, and so
Mm,
they were gonna stop both of them for my health because it's obviously you can't be around that.
yeah.
And I my mom was like, "Don't lie to me," and so I told her, and he came, and he threw me on the bed and was like, "Why would you do that? Why would you tell on me now? Your mom's mad at me, and everything." And growing up, I thought that was my dad. I didn't know that he wasn't my biological
Yeah,
father
you're
until
only 4 years old. How are you,
yeah.
understanding that?
So I remember like, and I'm actually severely afraid of the dark because I remember one time he locked me and my brother in a closet, and then I could hear the punches being thrown um, to my mom.
Lock you
So,
in. I don't like to lock you in a fucking closet.
yeah, at night, and it was yeah.
How old was your brother then?
He was a baby. He was a baby because my brother's only 2 years old, so I think he was like one maybe. So yeah,
I'm so sorry.
it's like well,
That
it's not.
is so. I don't like to say fuck, but that is so fucked up. You know, shit. All
Yeah.
right, so I can understand why you're afraid of the dark. That makes complete sense because of that trauma happening so young.
Hmm.
Um, and I have to give you some props and give you your flowers because like I started drinking to cope with trauma at 11 and 12. And I started smoking cigarettes and weed to deal with trauma at 13.
Hmm.
How did you not
Um. Actually,
resort to drugs and alcohol when
I
you were a
did actually
teenager and
used to.
preteen? What?
I did start smoking weed at one point though. That's when I
Okay.
was in Tennessee. Um, I was introduced to it. Like my mom was just like, you're getting to an age, like you're in middle school, people, this is like, for her, this is when she started getting around
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
she was like, I was very conscious of what it was. And there was a friend that I had, and they had older siblings, and so now they have them in pens where it's like vape kind of, and
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
so that's the first time I ever did it. And I just remember being like, I was just sleepy all the time. Like, the first time doing it, you're like, oh my gosh. And I was very paranoid. I remember
Yeah.
they were like, we're never doing this with you again. And I'm like, I think I was I think I was in 8th grade when I did it the very
Okay,
first.
so that's 13. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's 13, 14. Yeah,
But it wasn't like I was didn't have enough access to it to be
yeah,
like I guess addicted to it.
yeah.
But whenever I would hang out with them a lot after that, and then that's when things also started getting really bad and it got worse. Um,
Really bad. How? With who?
my like with my parents, we had at this point they were talking about separation and everything. They were
Still in
arguing.
Tennessee, right? You're still in
Hmm.
Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah, so they were talking about divorce. I think around this time, my brother was actually the one who found out my dad was cheating on my mom.
He
Um,
was.
yes, he was working. It was with a lady that he was working with, and my brother would go to work with him all the time. Like especially
Uh,
on the weekends when cases started to get like really overloaded, he would work on the weekends. So my
yeah.
brother would go with him. And at this time, I was in dance too. Um, and it was a lot with dance. I got an eating disorder because, I mean, I was still one of the biggest girls. So at this
Okay,
time,
so you were still heavy then. You were still
yeah,
like chunky
I
then.
was,
Okay.
yeah, I was losing the weight, but it
Mhm.
was not going as fast as I would have liked it. So I stopped eat. I didn't eat as much. Um,
You're 13.
and
So don't go too fast on Miguel,
yeah,
honey. Let
sorry.
me catch up. Let me get on the same page with you. All
Mhm.
right, let me paint a picture. You're 13,
Mhm.
right? You're 13 years old, 14 years old. We'll say 14, right? Eighth grade.
Mhm.
Okay, you're 14 years old and you're still getting bullied.
No, I wasn't getting bullied. Um, I guess I would consider it bullying. People would just talk about me, and I was just very conscious of it, but I just never brought it to light. I was just like, I know I'm
Okay,
not the skinniest.
so you're 14 and you're having trouble with with your body image,
Hmm.
and you decide you're going to do dance. Like how long were you in dance for? Like when did you start doing dance classes?
I did dance, I think, after COVID. So it was right after COVID happened. So I was in 7th grade. How old are you? 7th grade, I think. It was when I first moved to Tennessee because I was doing soccer and I was doing dance at the same exact time.
Well, that's a
Um,
lot of activity.
hmm.
Okay,
So
and all that running around, did you start losing the weight?
yes,
That
that's when it started coming off, but it still wasn't as fast as I had wanted it to.
and that's when you decided to like, hey, if I stop eating altogether,
Hmm.
is that what
Like
you
if I
did?
eat less, yes, if I
Yeah,
eat less, if I just, and then eventually it was to not eating at all.
yeah.
Um, so at that point, and plus, when you smoke, you get the munchies, so you would eat a lot.
Yeah,
And I
yes,
feel like
sir.
that's,
Look at me. I'm not. I'm not a spring.
so I think that's part of the reason why I also didn't do it as much because I realized how much I was eating.
Yeah,
And then until I found a way where it was like if you do it where you green out and you throw up everything, I figured that out. And so
yeah.
then, that's even worse. And at this point with my dad, he was already cheating on my mom and I didn't know about it until like way after. My brother knew about it, but my mom obviously she knew about it too.
Mm.
And so the arguments started getting worse. And at the time in the house that we were at, we had a guest bedroom. So he wasn't even sleeping upstairs with us. He was downstairs in the guest bedroom. Um, and there was
Did
one,
any of them pick up on your eating and your weight loss? That suddenly
no,
you weren't eating as much. Do you think it was because
no.
your mom was distracted by what was going on with her and your dad?
And also
And
because she was doing the same thing. When she gets really down, she doesn't eat.
mhm,
So I think she just was just like, oh, just wasn't conscious of it
yeah,
because she was doing the same exact thing too.
and your dad wasn't paying attention because he was busy entertaining a new girlfriend and
Mm-hmm.
beating up your mom.
Mm-hmm.
He knew
So
something fun about it, but that's what was happening. Let's be
yeah,
real. Yeah,
that was like, so it was just like, I guess to them it wasn't a red flag because one, there's a lot going on. So I was like, I'm literally that's the least of their worries right now.
yeah,
They're not gonna
yeah. So they
worry.
think.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
So
and we'll get there.
with living with him towards the end, it did get really bad, and it got to the point where I was like, I love him as my dad,
Mhm.
but as a person, I don't.
Yeah,
Um, because I saw the way he was with my mom and the
Like
way
like
he
I
was
love you
with
as my
me.
dad, but I don't respect you as a person.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was how it was, and I told him that to his face.
Yes.
And didn't end well. Um, I
Wow.
remember one
So
time um, when he would not get his way or people would tell him about himself, he would use he with PTSD comes suicidal ideations, especially from being in the military. So
yeah.
he would use that against us. I remember one time, I think my
Like,
mom, she still wasn't working, but she was at a friend's house. I don't remember what she was doing, and it was just me and him and my brother. And he locked himself in the downstairs bathroom, and that's the bathroom that he used. And so he had all his medicine in there. He took the razor blade in there and was like, I'm gonna kill myself, no one loves me. So I'm freaking out, I don't know what to do. And at this point, I was
how old were
again
you?
I was I think about so I was it was the summer of eight, like before freshman year.
Okay,
So it was
so you were 14 because
mhm.
you would have been 15 that December.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, and at this point, this was when they were divorce was like already in the works.
Yeah.
We were planning on moving here to
Mm,
Georgia. So it was our like he just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
mm,
And we got the option: do you want to stay with him or with our mom? But then at the end, we didn't have an option because of everything that he had put us through.
yeah.
They were just like mentally, he's not in the mental state to keep, especially with my brother being so young. He
Yeah.
didn't have the mental state to keep both of us and take care of us and himself.
Yeah.
So I remember that him being like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill myself," and at that time, that's when suicide actually, to me, from being so, I guess, normalized with him, it became an option, and that's when I started now remembering. I think that's the earliest time I remember um, thinking
Clocking
about
it.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yes.
clocking it. Like being like, oh shit, that's an option.
Yeah. So I remember one time they had gotten into this really bad argument, and I was downstairs. It was like in the middle of the night, and I felt everything was just like I felt like the world was on my shoulders, and I was like, I can just take a pill from each of his bottles, and I'm done. I
Yeah.
didn't do it. It wasn't just a thought, and
Yeah.
I was like, why would I even think that? Like, why am I thinking like that?
Mm,
So I didn't do it, and I just went to sleep. So, but with him being like that, it was so normalized. Like it was just like that was an option for me because that's what it was for him to get out of what he was feeling, and it was his get out of jail free card for anything that we said that he didn't like, so we wouldn't do it or wouldn't say it.
yeah, that's so manipulative
Yeah, it
to threaten your 14 and 12-year-old kids that they're gonna lose their dad over suicide because no one loves them. That's so manipulative that it's ridiculous.
yeah,
I understand PTSD and all that, but
that's
you're
where
an
the
adult and
narcissistic
they're
personality came in.
what?
I said that's where the narcissistic
Yeah, of
personality
course. Yeah,
came in.
definitely 100%. 100%. And all right, so you called your mom, like, hey, mom, dad's saying he wants to kill himself,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, so she was like, okay, like she didn't sound freaked out because it's so bad. Like she was used to it. So she wasn't freaking out. It's not like she didn't care about him. She was
Mm,
just like, oh my gosh, here we go again.
here we go.
Because it was very, very often, especially at this point where he was in the hospital at least once a month. Um, and so she was like, okay, let me call you right back. And so she called the doctor and she was like, tell him that I'm gonna call his doctor if he doesn't get out of the bathroom. And he did it. He stayed in there. You can hear him bawling, crying. You could hear everything. Like the freaking shower pole was on the floor. Like I guess he was trying to do it that way, and it obviously it's not gonna hold all that weight. And so I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, like she needs to hurry up. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And from it being so often, they stopped sending the cops to her house to come pick him up because they're like, you're gonna. So she had to drive him to the
Oh
hospital. So
God,
at the time where we
that's
lived,
that's that's kind of infuriating that the cops are just like, no,
Yeah,
Like
at this point, they're just like it's a waste of our time because we
it's a
can't.
waste. Get the hell out of
Yeah,
here. You're like you're supposed to protect and serve.
yeah,
Like
I know.
protect and then serve this veteran that has PTSD that wants to end his life in front of his kids. You know, step up.
So, and luckily at this time, we had where we lived in the neighborhood we lived. We knew two people. So two of my mom's friends lived in the neighborhood. So she was like, the one that lived the closest. She told them like, hey, like I have what happened and everything. And so she was at. I think she was about to get home. So me and my brother, we walked over there. It was like not even a 2 minute walk. And then the other girl, she told them like, hey, the kids might be at the house by themselves for a little bit, just letting you know, just in case they go over there. So my mom took him, and then she came back, and I think he was there for a week again.
Mm. Is that when
So
you
I,
guys left?
hmm?
Is that when you guys left?
No, we he wasn't in the hospital when we left, right? But there was times I think at that point he was just kind of like I think he actually was gone at that point. I think he had already moved his stuff out when we had left.
Because he had a new
Um,
girlfriend anyway.
Yeah, actually, I don't think he was in a relationship at that time yet because, yeah, I think he
Oh no, the
lived.
girl he was cheating with. I mean,
He actually wasn't working there anymore. He had stopped working there after everything had happened. And actually, he stopped working, and I need found out this. He stopped working there because she actually tried to press charges on him. So they were like, either you quit or this is going to go
yeah,
through. So he quit. And he didn't do any other attorney work after that. Um,
yeah. I
because
mean, it's you can't sleep with people that work underneath you.
hmm
It's as
Yeah,
simple as that.
yeah. So that was one time I remember with him, and then another time was when me, my mom, and my brother, and one of my friends we went to Atlanta for a weekend. It was a really short weekend. I think we had went just for the fun of like just to go. I think it was spring break, and I was like, but I want it to be just us. Like I don't want dad to go because every time we would go, it would not end good. So my mom was like, okay. So she's like, I'll tell him. He thought he was going. We had kept telling him like, you're not going, but he thought we were joking.
Oh
So
shit.
he had his bags packed. He's like, what time are we leaving? My mom's like, you're not going with us.
Yeah.
You're not going. So she went and got Dunkin' Donuts. At this time, my friend had already gotten dropped off. And so she came back and she got us all Dunkin' Donuts, got him a coffee to kind of like ease in the conversation a little bit, like, hey, I got you a coffee, you know.
We're
And
we're leaving. Here's your coffee to stay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I remember him throwing it at my mom because my mom's like blocking the door, like, no, you're not going. And he
Mm.
threw the hot coffee at my mom. And you could feel it was so hot, you could still feel the heat from it's on the floor. And I'm cleaning it. And all I see is something go like this, like literally fly right past my face, barely, like I felt it barely touch my nose, and it's the door from him kicking it open. And I was crying, like I just froze, and I was just sitting there crying because I was like, no way. And I think at this point I realized how bad like we need to get out. Um, and he didn't care. He even after he was just kind of like no emotion towards it. And so we ended up going to Atlanta, and then when we came back, apparently he was in the hospital again. He had called and put himself in the hospital. So
Yeah.
we came back to an empty house.
And
Um,
you got the hell out of there, right?
yeah, so it was my mom was planning on leaving the second half. So it was halfway through freshman year. We moved here December 1st.
Okay.
At this point, my mom was already in a they were already separated for almost 2 years at this point. So she was in a new relationship, and so that's how we ended up here. And that relationship, that's gonna have to be a whole nother lane to go down.
Let's go down it. Let's go down it.
So, um, that relationship, it's funny and kind of adding on to another abusive relationship. Um, so basically, she got out of one to get with another one, and I didn't understand it, and I hadn't experienced abuse like this since she was with my brother's father. like this physical. And he was
Mhm.
an alcoholic, and it was bad. It was really bad, and I hated him. I was like, I don't feel like
Did
it's a good
you live with
idea.
him?
Yes, we did. Um,
And he would hit your mom
hmm And
in front of you,
eventually, in front of us, and name calling me and everything like that. And eventually, it
name
almost
calling
got,
you.
yeah, like I would be called types of whores and sluts and hoes and everything.
Why
Um,
did why would he call? Did you dress provocatively for your
no,
age?
I
Okay,
never have actually. I never have.
okay.
It was
Yeah, I
just,
don't know shit about you when it comes to that. So
yeah,
I'm like, why would he go to that?
no,
Like,
I don't really. I That's more for her because it was. I would just know that that's what he would call me because I would hear them arguing.
mm,
And at this point, like I've experienced abuse so much, and I think at this point, this is when resentment started coming to both parents, my dad
yeah,
and my mom, because I'm
yeah,
like you, and I knew my dad was bad,
mm,
but I was like, it was never this bad. I was like, you literally took us out of one bad situation to put us in another one. And so resentment started coming to her towards that because I'm like, and she wouldn't leave him. She would always go back. And I know, and being in a, from experience now, I know it's hard to leave
yeah,
an abusive relationship. Um, so when we first moved here, I didn't like him. I was just like, I don't like this. I'm in a new school, a new state, don't know anything. My parents are divorced, like,
okay,
don't have any family.
mm,
Um, And at this point, I would only say the only reason he probably would have for calling me all those things is because I had a boyfriend at the time.
mm.
Um, and
Which you're allowed. You're a freshman in high school.
hmm
Like,
so, and with that relationship, I feel like their relationship dynamic also affected that relationship and the way I thought relationships should have been because I had a very unrealistic like unrealistic expectations set for how a relationship should be. So
can
I
you
didn't
elaborate
know.
on that for me? Like, what do you
So
mean? So with your boyfriend as a teenager, you had
mhm.
unrealistic expectations on him because of what you grew up seeing.
Yes and no.
Okay,
So basically, I thought being submissive and doing everything that they said was what you had to do to make the person
okay,
happy.
okay.
And cheating was very normal in relationships for me, and not leaving when you found out you were cheated on. And with him, he wasn't abusive towards me, but he did cheat on me a lot. And it was kind of one of those things where three that I know of three times. And it was one of those things where it's like, well, you just
Like
forgive
three
them.
times, like you were told three different times, or like you
I
were
found
told
out
one
three different.
time that it happened three times.
So the first time I found out and I stayed. And then after the third time, I found out that it was actually three times. It wasn't
Gotcha.
just that. I was like, oh yeah, I know he cheated on me. But at the end, I was like, oh, it wasn't just that one time. It was three times. So with him, and he was my escape because I didn't have anybody else. I literally met him a month after I moved here. So
And that
he
was your
was,
way to like get out of the house.
yes. So I didn't have anybody else. And at 15, and he was 2 years older than me too,
Oh, okay.
which
Did he
was
drive?
also, yes, he did. So
Damn,
yeah,
Kaylani.
yeah. So, but at the time, I was this
Kaylani.
like I'm the new girl. I have an older boyfriend. Like I'm like, and I really don't care about. And I didn't have any friends. Like he was literally my only person that I had.
So this guy that your mom was dating was calling you those words because he would see you leave the house and get into a car with a guy.
Which he knew who he was because he would come over too, but it wasn't as much as I
Yeah,
went over there, just because I that was my escape.
yeah.
And we were together for almost 2 years, a little less. So I would probably say a year and a half. So not almost 2 years, probably like a year and a half we were together.
Hmm.
And I think when I had moved schools again, and I had the school that I moved to, that was when I graduated from, and it was my first year there. I was playing soccer and we were playing against his school. And the girls on the team, we're trash talking and they knew who I was. And they are all coming at me like, and I'm just like, I don't understand. And those were the only games he would not go to. So it should have been a red flag there.
Yeah.
Um, and they're like, oh, well, that's why he cheated on you with this person in passing. And I'm like, okay, I didn't hear that right, but it still didn't sit right with me. And I mentioned it to
Mhm.
him. Huge argument broke out, everything like that. So I think at that point, the embarrassment started to get to me because I'm like, okay, this is now people who know me and they don't know me for the good reasons either.
Yeah.
Um,
So soccer is the fall,
it's
right?
actually spring here.
Oh, it's spring. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So,
oh shit. Okay, so this is happening your sophomore year.
when I first
So
found
the
out,
end of sophomore year, and all that's happening. Did you guys break up at the end of your sophomore year because of it?
yes. So it was right
Okay.
before my junior year that I broke up. I broke up with him
Right before your what?
junior year.
Okay.
So
Now,
officially broke up because we were on and
yeah,
off that summer.
on and off that summer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now summer's over and it's September. And in
August
September,
here. Yeah.
what?
We started
August.
school in
Yeah.
August. Yeah.
But you start school and now we're creeping up to today, right? Now we're creeping
Yeah.
up to today. And for those of you watching right now, it's this episode comes out Monday, September 15th. But we're sitting here recording this episode on Wednesday, September 10th. And for those who don't know, September 10th is World Suicide Day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is a crazy coincidence too. I didn't know that. So
September 10th,
mhm.
neither did I until this morning, to be honest with you. I didn't know that either. And September 10th, 2 years ago, you're a junior in high school. You have all this trauma with, father figures, men in your life, bouncing around states and schools. First, you had your first serious boyfriend repeatedly cheating on you, treating you like shit. And you guys break up. You still hook up all summer. And, trying it. Really, he's probably using you because he's bored and it's the summer. And because at that point, he would have been 18 and probably done school.
Mm-hmm.
And, he has a car and can leave and come whenever he wants. And whenever he wants, it's convenient for you to be around. That's when he would hit you up. Am I right? How close am I?
You're pretty close.
Yeah.
So at this point, I think in the summer, he was the only person that I was hooking up with, but I was still talking to other people because I'm like, I was just in. I'm about to be. I think I was 16 at this point, so I'm like, I'm about to be a junior in high school. I only got 2 years of high school left, and I feel like at that point I was like in my prime in high school. So I was talking to a bunch of different guys too, and then I think eventually, like we were talking about getting back together, and then just something in me, there was this one guy that I was actually really good friends with. And he was treating me really good. And I was like, you know what? You treated me horribly. I don't want to have to wait up on you. And you were cheating on me. So I don't need you anymore. So I stopped talking to him. And
Now, was your mom still with that dude that was calling you a hoe and shit?
yeah, she was still with him.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, they were still together. Um, they did not break up until I think the summer before my senior year. Or
No way. You were
yeah,
together. They were
they
together
were
for another year.
yeah, they were together for like
After
almost 3 years. Yeah.
shit. Okay.
Or
Now,
they were
summer's
actually, I'm lying. Sorry. They actually were broken up before Christmas or around Christmas. So it was a little bit after Christmas that they had broken up.
your birthday,
A little bit after my birthday, yes.
senior year.
No, junior year.
Junior year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they
Now
were
we're at
broken up
junior
before.
year. Now we're at junior year.
Mm-hmm.
We're all caught up on everything going on so
Mm-hmm.
far. All the lanes are all come. It
Kind of.
all. Why? What did we miss?
So with that guy that I was friends with,
Mm-hmm.
me and him, we were really close, and we also hung out with the same people too. So school had started, and there was one day specifically, and at this point, I had only ever been with my ex boyfriend. I had never done it with anybody else, and he had never done it with anybody. And it was a topic of conversation. I was just like, I don't think I'm ready for that, like. And there was one time where he was like, "Well, I'll drop you off." He used to pick me up and drop me off from school. And my mom knew that. She knew the guy too. Like, he would come over here. Like, she knew that we were good friends. We all hung out with each other. And one day he was like, "Hey, I really have to go to the bathroom." And I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "I'll let you in, but you have to leave right after." And I told my mom, like, he came in to use the restroom, and that's actually not what ended up happening.
What happened, Kaylani?
So that day, it was before the football game, and if you volunteered at the school and we had to have like prom hours or whatever, um, you could go to the football game early and for free. So he was like, "I'll drop you off, and then I'm just gonna walk." And I was just gonna ride with my friend and then walk the rest of the way. So he dropped me off at school, and he came inside, and he didn't end up using the bathroom. He ended up forcing himself on me. Um, I kept that, and I think I was so in shock because even after I was still talking to him, but after it happened, he was like, "Let's just not." He was like, "It kind of felt weird," and I was like, "Yeah, it didn't sit right with me the way it happened," and I'm like, I think my body was in shock because I'm literally still hanging out with this person and hanging out with the people, hanging out with everybody, even after it happened. Um, and I guess I also didn't know that it was because he was just like, I kept saying like, "Okay, yeah," like he to a certain point he convinced me, and then I was like, "Actually, I don't think this is right anymore. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this." And in the middle of me saying I don't want to do this, everything had happened, and I just remember just looking up, and I'm just like, "No, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore." Just saying it over and over again. And then he had left, and I didn't tell my mom. I was scared because he wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And I also didn't think it could be considered it either.
Can we backtrack for a second, if you don't
Hmm.
mind? I'm not sure. You're allowed to cry. It's okay.
Okay.
This is a very hard thing to talk about.
Hmm.
SA is not easy. You were 16,
Hmm.
right?
At
And
this, yeah, I was
this
16.
is this is beginning of sophomore junior year, right?
Hmm.
Um, and how old was he?
He was the same age as me. He was actually, I
Okay,
think, a month older than me.
a month older. Okay. And I'm trying to put everything together, and he was bringing you home. And when you were going inside to go home, he said, "Hey, you mind if I come inside to use the bathroom?" And you said, "Yeah, that's fine. But you got to bounce when you're done, because I'm not allowed to have a guy. I'm not allowed to have boys over, right?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, you can use the bathroom, but then you got to go. And then he went to the bathroom.
Go.
Then he
Sorry.
went. That's right. So then he went to the bathroom, right? He went into the bathroom. Meanwhile, you went into your bedroom.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden he walked into your bedroom.
Yeah. He
And
was
that
like, yeah.
was the aggressive, like pushing you and grabbing you and taking your clothes off kind of thing, or
No, he was just kind of like saying, like again, we knew we liked each other, and at this point, we were to the stage where we just kissed each other. So he was
mm-hmm.
like, "Okay, I'm gonna go," and then eventually, he started kissing and more, and he was like, "You're the only person that I could imagine my first time being with, and everything." And at this, I think I felt bad, and I was just like, he convinced me. I was like, "Okay," and then I was just like, "No, I don't want to do this anymore." And he just kept going. And I think towards the end is when he got aggressive because I feel like I couldn't get up at all. Uh, I literally was just frozen. And even now, I really can't remember everything. I just remember the
Yeah,
beginning of it
yeah.
and me
Which
saying,
is a
I don't.
very common thing that happened, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a very
So
common.
it was really hard situation. And my mom didn't find out until my mom knows now. I told her eventually. So this was before. This was like in August when this happened. So it was like a
Okay.
month before, like maybe a couple weeks before, a month before. And so I still hung out with him because again,
Huh.
I was kind of like,
Were
I
you
guess this
afraid
is
of him?
yes and no. I live in a very small town, so a lot of people knew him and his family. Um, and also, again, I just didn't, to me, I guess I didn't think it was because I gave him, which now I know, like, you can take back the permission and it's still
hundred
considered.
percent. 100%.
Um, and so, and he was conscious of it too because I literally remember him calling me and was like, that didn't sit right with me and let's just forget it ever happened. And I was just like, okay, cool, sure. Like, and I think the
Hey,
day
hey, let's just forget that time I sexually assaulted you. Because I don't want people to know about it because it'll make me look bad. So let's not think about that
and
anymore.
he was
Okay?
a baseball
Cool. Let's move
player,
on.
yeah, for the school. So like he was very big and his family was too. His family was very
Nice.
involved with the school. He was
Was he
a
really a
baseball
virgin?
player.
Was he really a virgin, or do you think he was just saying that to make you feel
No,
bad?
I think he actually really was because
Okay, because a lot of guys will use that as like a way to like hook up with girls at that age. They'll say, "Hey, I'm a virgin," and it's a way for the girl to feel bad, to let their guard down, to feel
mm-hmm,
like I can trust him because he's never even had sex before. So he's definitely not going to try with me because he's never done it before.
mm-hmm.
And then they'll make you feel bad to be like, "Well, he's never had it,"
Yeah,
and
that's basically
it's
what
a very
happened.
common thing for a guy to say that. There are a lot of guys that are like, "No, I've had sex with so many people," and like they usually don't, and they're just saying that to sound cool. But then
Yeah.
there's the manipulative motherfuckers, and I'm cursing again because they piss me off. They're the ones that use those bullshit lines, saying that they're virgin and they're the nice kid, and I just want to make you happy, and they're really have that mindset of like I want to control you.
Yeah. So he really was, that I know of, he really was. Um, he had never had a girlfriend before either. So he was the nice guy. Like he would take me out on dates. He would get me flowers. He would do, the small things that you would want, especially at 16, 16. So, I did feel bad. And then I still sometimes now I like beat myself up about it because I'm like, why would you feel bad for someone like that? Like, why would you do that?
It's okay. It's okay though. You don't have to like beat yourself up because you know you're 16 years old. You trusted him, and for you trusted him for a long time, and I can understand why you would feel bad, but that's not a reason to have him in your life as a friend.
Yeah. Which I don't talk to him at all. Like, I can't even be in the same area as him without me
Good.
freaking.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool. It makes me happy.
yeah.
I don't want
So,
you to. I don't want you to beat yourself up over how you felt about it in the initial time. Because that's a very confusing thing. There's even a lot of girls will feel shame and they'll feel like guilty, like they did something for that to happen. So, there's a lot of different emotions because like I told you before we started recording, I had experience in that with it happening to me with guys my age at younger ages. And
mhm.
there's a lot of confusing things that will happen to justify what happened to be like, oh, that's just what happens. No,
Mhm.
it's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah. So all that happened, and then also I think the tip of the iceberg was, and obviously my mom was still with the guy, and they were arguing, and for like when my mom was with him, I told you that resentment came through. Like she was just a completely different person than when she was in a
Mm,
completely different mom.
yeah,
And our relationship very much took a hit to it. You know, when you're with somebody and people might see it, if you haven't been through it, they'll say it's an excuse. But when you're with somebody, they really can change who you are and how you talk
yeah.
to somebody, especially someone you care about. So my mom would say very hurtful things when they were together, but because
Very
I,
hurtful things to him or you.
to me, because of him. So it was kind of like everything he said about me, she was starting to believe, and so she would say it too.
She would
And
call you those names.
no, she wouldn't call me those names. She would say like there was times where I'm like, you need to stop being with him, and I would tell him like, you treat my mom really bad, and then it would start arguments, and then she would get hit, and so it was like, oh, I'm getting hit because of you, you're making our lives miserable, things like that. So I'm being told that from someone who literally brought me into this world, and to me at the time it was like she doesn't even want me to be here, and then I was going through that whole entire breakup, and then going through now that with the person I
Yeah,
trusted,
yeah.
and then on top of that, I was finally making friends. The friends I was friends with weren't good people. Me and my best friend were not talking at the time, so I'm like I had no escape whatsoever. Um, and right before, I think my best friend and I not talking was the tip of the iceberg because it was one night, and it was just like I could not do it anymore. And I was just crying, like just crying, crying. Like I couldn't even see what was going on around me.
Mm,
Um, and before this happened, my mom and so at this time he wasn't even here, the boyfriend. They were
yep.
actually arguing that day. My mom had surgery, I think a week before that, and I was the one taking care of her. So he hadn't even been here. He hadn't been to the house in a week. And for pain, they gave my mom pain meds. I think it
Mm.
was Oxy and Perks that they gave her. So my mom was knocked out from the medicine. So I went in there.
And September 10th in 2023, I
Mhm.
just double checked, which I thought it was. It was a Sunday.
It was on a. I did it Saturday night, so I did it the night
Okay.
before. But she got the phone call.
The phone call. Yep. Okay. Makes sense.
So basically, I think I don't really remember the exact time. So it probably
Yeah.
was September 10th, but I don't remember the
Mm.
exact time everything had
Okay.
went down. But I know
It
it was
was it was in the
that
middle
night.
of the night.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the night.
Okay, so go
Um,
on.
so they were arguing, and I think it actually was the guy's birthday too. It's the guy's birthday. September 10th is the guy's birthday.
Which guy? The
So
guy that
my
SA?
mom, no, the guy that my mom was with at the time.
Okay.
So
And he lived there too, right?
yes, but at the time he had been gone for a week. They had argued and everything, and he
Okay.
would do the thing where he would come and go, come and go. So at this time he was gone. And so I was one taking care of my mom after the surgery, and I knew my mom had taken the medicine, and I knew my mom was not going to be awake. Um, and I even texted my best friend, and I was like, "I love you so much." And I went in my mom's room, and I took both bottles, and I think I took probably half of both of them, and I just laid there, and I was still bawling my eyes out, and I think eventually I stopped crying, and I started getting really, really tired, and then I got up and I was starting to freak out. And I was like, no way, I just did that. Like, oh my gosh, I just did that. And I think because everything, I think I was disassociated that I didn't realize that I was doing what I did. And so then now I'm crying again because I'm freaking out and I'm shaking. And the medicine itself already is going to do that to you, especially when you take that much. So then I called my grandma and I'm like, okay, let me call my grandma. My grandma's 12 hours away. If this is really going to happen, if this is really meant to happen to me right now, then by the time she'll get here, I should be done. So that's a horrible way to think, but that was my mentality. But I'm like, I was freaking out, so I'm like, I don't know what to do. So she was the first person I called, and I'm crying, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I just made a huge mistake. I'm so sorry. Like I just made a huge mistake. I said, Mom's gonna hate me. Mama already hates me. She's gonna hate me, and like I said, at this point, like I felt like no one wanted me to be here.
Mm.
So I called my grandma and she's like, Kaylani, what? I think at this point she kind of already knew what had happened or had an idea of it, because she was the person I would go to and vent to about arguments and everything. And I was just like, I couldn't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I just kept repeating myself. Like I wasn't speaking full sentences. I just kept repeating myself over and over and over and over again. And she was like, what did you do? And I think with the tone that she said it, I felt like she was mad at me. So then I just came out and told her. And I was like, I took mom's pills. I took her pills. She doesn't know, and I took them, and she's going to hate me. And so then she said, how many did you take? And at this point, I didn't know. I was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then she hangs up, and I'm across the house. So I hear my mom just stomping and running to my room. She's like, get up right now. Let's go. Let's go. She's half asleep. My brother hears me bawling, like screaming, crying. She hears my mom yelling at me, like, get up, let's get in the car, let's get in the car right now. And she because I think I still had them in my hand, and she snatches them out of my hand, but not like mad, but just like in such a hurry.
Concerned. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so she's like looking, but she's half asleep, like she just woke up. Because I think it was within a minute after I heard my phone hang up that I hear my mom running across the house. So then my brother,
Your mom's a badass.
yeah, I don't know how the heck she did it, because when I had surgery and I had pain meds, I could not wake up. So I don't even know how she could. So my
That's that
brother,
pure adrenaline, can't feel shit. Then
yes,
I got priorities right now, and bigger than pain.
yeah. So my brother comes with, and my brother doesn't know what's going on because he's like, what the heck? Like he just sees me crying, and he sees my mom freaking out, and then I don't know when it came conscious to him that I did it, because then he started being like, Kaylani, are you okay? Are you okay? And at this point, and we're driving, and we're on the way to the hospital. We stopped at the house that the guy that my mom was with at the time. We stopped at his house. So I'm like, I think now thinking back on it, I still kind of feel the hurt from it for my mom, because I'm like, you have put this guy above us this whole entire time, and this one time when I need you, and you're literally, I think we were there for like 30 minutes. I'm like, I feel my body like shaking, like from the minute, like she's like making me stay awake. My brother and I are in the car. My brother's like, Kaylani, stay awake, like shaking me, like, I need you to stay awake. I need you to stay awake. And like, I'm just like, I'm tired. I'm tired. Like, I just want to go to sleep. Just let me go to sleep. I'm like, I'm tired. And I'm like dozing off, and I just see my mom arguing, and I see him push her, and she's crying because of everything. And I just hear, she's not, she needs to go to the hospital. I need you to come with me. And that's the last person I wanted there. And like I said, my mom, she was down bad for this guy. I don't know why, but she was. So I think it hurt me. And still now I kind of feel hurt from it, because I'm like, literally the time I literally need you the most, and you're still putting him above us. And then we leave and we go to the hospital, and I think they I came conscious to me to what I did, because they had the security guard in front of the hospital room. They're coming in explaining to me what the next steps are. They legally have to send me to the hospital, the mental hospital, the institution, and the
Yeah.
closest one was an hour away.
Wait, they didn't pump your stomach first?
No, I think at that
What?
time, I think I had, yeah, they had flushed out my system, and I think
Okay. Okay.
they had me pee it all out.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
think because I think at that time they couldn't. I don't really
Okay.
know. I wasn't
But it was out
like,
of your system, right?
yeah,
You were
they did.
safely out of your system by this point. But
They
you had to go
flushed
to a
me
psych ward
so much.
to be
Yes.
evaluated. Okay. That makes more sense. Okay.
hmm
Um,
So, because I think it had been in my system, I think they had said that if I had waited, if I had actually went to sleep,
yeah.
that it would have
100%
been done.
done.
So,
Yeah.
but it was in my system for so long that they couldn't pump it out anymore.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense. It was
they
already
were
too
just flushing it.
dissolved. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were just flushing it out, because I think by the time we got to the hospital, I think it had already been like an hour. And then
Yeah.
by the time they actually, admitted me and everything like that, it was about almost 2 hours. So
Yeah,
they
because the
could
fucking
only,
hospitals. Oh my
yeah.
god, the sense of
So,
urgency is there's none. Like
hmm
what you should have done
and,
is call 911 and had an ambulance take you. Then you would have got put right to the top of the line.
hmm
You know,
but it was just like so
and we'll talk
much
to your
just going.
we'll talk to your mom about that when she comes in. You know, because
Yeah,
I'll
it
have
was just
questions
a
for her.
lot. So then I was in the hospital for, on the paperwork, it said I could only had to be there for 72 hours. But I think I was there I think that's what, 3 days? 72 hours is 3
2 hours,
days.
3 days. Yep. I did a
So
3 day
I
hold
was,
myself. Last December,
yeah.
I did a 3 day hold.
So legally I only had to be in there for 3 days, and the way that they made this place sound, it was literally like heaven on earth. They treat you so good,
Fuck out of
and it
here.
was the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, it
It
is.
was
Yeah.
it was so scary, and I'm in a room with 5-year-olds. Like it's like a common, I guess the Gen Pop is what you would call it. Like there's 5-year-olds in the room with me, and I'm like, oh my gosh! Like I think it hit me where I was like, there's actually people out here like that are going through it. Like
Mhm.
worse than me. And then I think at this point I started feeling like dumb because I'm like, there's people who have it worse than you and you try to do this to yourself. Um, and
Yeah, but don't discount your feelings though, and
I
don't
know at
discount
that
your
time,
experiences because everyone has different experiences that lead them to that moment of the brink of like I'm done and not giving
hmm
up. You
yeah,
know, and just because one and don't and something to say that someone has it worse than you, like they don't know your experiences either. Like you've watched your mom be married and date these men, and all they do is hurt her continuously, abuse her or cheat on her or yell at her, yell at you, treat you like shit, treat your brother like shit. Like, you know, you never had your father, and by this point, your grandparents, yeah, granddad, I didn't forget about you, like your grandparents and the shit they were doing. Like, no, Gilani, no. Like,
yeah,
you had a really rough experience leading up to September 10th, 2023. And the essay that happened a couple weeks before that, like that's just like the icing on the cake.
yeah,
That's the cherry on top. Like that's and then you go back to school and you have to see him again because you're in the same grade and you have to smile and pretend like it didn't happen because he asked you to forget about it, like it never happened. Sorry, didn't mean to essay, but
yeah.
like no, you had full intentions by saying you were coming in to use the fucking bathroom, bro. You knew
Yeah.
exactly what you were gonna do.
So at this point,
Sorry, I don't mean to yell at you. I'm
no,
yelling
it's
at
okay.
like
The situation, yeah,
I want you to understand that you know this that happened and you ended up in a psych ward because I've been in a psych ward and I almost tried to kill myself too. And like I understand it. And being in a psych ward, I also could look around and be like, they were worse than me, they were worse than me, they were worse than me, but at the same time, they didn't lose a fiance to suicide. They didn't have this experience. We all have different experiences, and we all have the same experience of I'm done. And that's the only
hmm
experience that matters when you're in that place for 3 days. All right. So don't ever like talk to yourself in a matter of like shouldn't have to even be there because everyone like was way worse. And I didn't even have to be there because I was trying to take the easy way out when my life wasn't even that bad. I'm not saying your life was bad, but you had a really hard time for a really long time. You were
yeah,
moving around state to state with many different father figures that none of them were consistent. The only thing they were consistent in is treating your mom like shit. So that's not easy for a girl to see growing up. And the person that's your bio dad be like, "Yep, here, sign the paper. No more child support for me."
yeah,
Like no, like you had a really tumultuous, rough time that led you to that moment 2 years ago today. So I don't ever want you to ever think that you didn't deserve to be there because everyone had it worse than you. No, you and I both needed the psych ward when we needed the psych ward. All right. Please don't ever like discount it to yourself, because you don't want to like talk that way to yourself, because that negative self talk, that follows you for a long time. Trust me, I'm 39. That shit will follow you.
Yeah.
That happened because it was going to change your life. And
Hmm.
you're sitting here alive talking to me 2 years later because you survived,
Yeah.
and you're learning, and you're going to learn from it every single day, different experiences and different things. And I hope that this conversation is helping in that, because it's something that happened, and it's going to follow you, and you can either let it take charge and be to a point where, like, well, I was just being a coward, and I didn't even have it that bad, and I don't know why I even did it. That's bullshit. I was being pathetic. No, none of that's true. you know and I completely understand why you did it. I don't blame you for doing it, for trying it, to be honest with you. I don't blame you for trying it. I would have tried it too if I was in your shoes.
Hmm.
So I don't think that people had it worse than you in there. I don't think that at all. Okay.
Yes. It was just a really hard time. And being there, I remember worst ever. Um, Coastal Georgia, don't ever go there. Ever, never, ever. I remember being in there and I just felt even worse about myself because they made you feel bad about yourself.
Yep.
They told you, like, what the one person, I don't remember her name, but she was amazing. They would told me that I'd be able to talk to my mom whenever. We were only able to talk to one person for 10 minutes a day, and that
Mhm.
was it. And
Was it on
visitation.
a payphone?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, same with me.
So it was, and that's for everybody. A 5-year-old had the same exact thing. I'm like, I'm 16 and I losing my mind. I miss my mom. I miss my brother. I want to go home. I can only imagine a 5-year-old. And while I was there, like the people who were watching us in the room, like if we weren't in therapy sessions, which they made it seem was amazing too, and it was just sitting there and doing paper activities and
Mhm.
writing down what happened.
Art, doing drawing this. You had the
Yes.
art class too, where you had to draw something, right?
Mm-hmm. And then we had to do like chain links as to why you did it and what was a better option than what you chose. And there was this one girl I will always remember. Even at night, they were in front of our doors and making sure that we didn't do anything. If you were in the shower too long, they're going in there and checking on you, which I understood that. But there was
Yeah.
this one lady where she literally was telling me and the younger kids that we're demon children, that only people who are controlled by the devil do things like this. Only the devil makes people do things like this.
Yeah.
And
It's so
and
fucked.
it was really hard. And like I remember going to her and crying like I'm having an anxiety attack at this point because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different personalities, a lot of different mental disorders that are going on around me that I have never experienced before, like schizophrenia
Yeah.
and split personality. And like we would all talk to each other. We were in therapy sessions together, so we knew what these people had. There were some people in there who were in there because it was either jail or this.
Yeah,
So
that's me too. Yeah.
it's was an eye opener because I knew there were so many different mental disorders, but I didn't realize the extent of them, especially how bad they can get, especially in young kids and young
Yeah.
adults and young people. Um, so she's telling us this, and I'm overstimulated and I'm crying and I'm like, I just really miss my mom. And there was nothing to do. And I refused every drug that they gave because I physically could not take any pill or anything.
Yeah.
Like unless it was in a liquid form, even now when I'm sick, I will only take like syrup. I cannot
Mhm.
take a pill.
Good. Yeah, I'm
Um,
happy about that, honestly.
so I wasn't drugged up. Everybody that
Yeah.
was there was. So I'm conscious of what's happening. And there's people who are high as a kite. They're doing things that I'm just like, I don't understand. And
Yeah.
I'm bawling my eyes out. And they said, we'll let the nurse know, just sit down. Never said anything. And then I finally see this one lady walk in, and I'm like, I go up to her, I'm like, can I please talk to you? I really need to talk to my mom. Like, I really need to talk to her. Like, I can't, I'm crying. I've asked 3 times. They won't let me talk to my mom. Like, I just need to hear her voice. I have not talked to her since I've been admitted yesterday morning. It's already almost dinner time now. So they're like, okay, we'll see what we can do. And I think 5 minutes later, she calls me in there. She's talking to me and she's letting me talk to my mom. And I think I talked to her for like 15 minutes. And I'm telling her, like, I need you to get me out of here. Like, I cannot, like, I feel like I literally was in jail. Like, I'm like, I need you to
Yeah.
get me out of here. Like, I'm
Doors
not
are locked.
scared.
There's
Yeah.
the lights are off. Like there's no TV in
There
rehab. There's
was,
TV. There's one
there
TV
was
in the common
TV.
area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
there was no TV in the room.
No
And, like,
TV in the rooms. No. No.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would let like my mom, they were like, you can drop off like activity books. So there was like a sticker by number that my mom gave me. There was one thing they gave me, my mom got a coloring book and she got crowns, but it had the crown sharpener in it, so you couldn't use that. So there was just like small things that they did have that I was able to
Yeah.
do that did occupy my mind with. But like, it was so hard watching. I think I've watched Reba multiple times because that's what they had playing on repeat. So
I watched Catfish when I was in there.
yeah,
I was
they had
watching
Reba.
Catfish over and over.
I know. I will. At least I like catfish, so I probably
I
should.
love
But Reba.
Catfish. I put it on. I'm the one. I'm the one to put it on. Honey, I'm the one
Oh,
to put
really?
it. Yeah.
So Reba's on repeat over, and it's just like reruns, reruns, and I don't even
Yeah.
order because I've watched Reba before, and they're not even in order. So I'm like paying attention to everything, and I think one day I'm like, even the person when you first got admitted, they're talking to, and they said it was my mom's fault. They were like, it was your mom's fault that she didn't do this to you, and I'm just like, hold on, it's not her fault. Like, it's not her fault. Like,
Yeah.
no, like I chose to do this. They were like, well, why were you around those pills? Why were those pills in your house? And I'm like, she had like I'm like begging, like trying to convince them, like that she had surgery, and they're saying like I'm in an unsafe
Yeah.
environment and everything like that. So it was really hard, and eventually I did get out. I got out like halfway through the 4th day, and they wanted me in there longer for about a week because they wouldn't release you until they felt like you were comfortable. But my mom
Yeah.
did everything she could, and she looked back at the paperwork, and that's when she realized it said 72 hours was the amount of time that I had to be in there at least.
Yeah. It's a
So
minimum. Yeah.
my mom was like, we'll do everything we need to do outside if you're just like she's not getting better, and I really wasn't. Like, I think I came out looking worse than I did going in. um and it was hard because my mom wouldn't give me my phone back after. um so I'm just kind of like, well, what the heck. My grandma flew in after like that day that everything happened. She was actually there when I got admitted into the hospital, and she stayed with us for about a week, and we got into therapy. That's when we got into therapy because
Mhm.
afterwards, like, you have to at least go and follow up with.
Yeah. 100%. Yep.
And and I was very grateful for that, though. I think that's probably one thing I was really grateful for, because before I even went in, I kind of felt myself getting bad and was like, I want to go into therapy. But I mean, my mom wasn't against it, but the person she was in Hispanic households and just the culture, therapy is not okay. Like, why do you want to go talk about family problems to somebody random? So my mom was okay with it, but the person she was with wasn't. So
The
I was
person,
grateful.
the person as in the abusive boyfriend.
Yeah. So I was very grateful that it was kind of ordered for me to go.
So he
And
wasn't okay with it. Was he? Was he Spanish too?
yeah,
Okay.
he was also Hispanic, yes.
Okay.
So I think that's probably the one thing I'm grateful for that facility is in general was that, but besides anything else, it was horrible, and it's probably the worst place to go after you go through something like that.
It's unfortunate that so a lot of those places are state run and they're not funded right. And it's unfortunate because like it's isn't that is not that's not like an experience that happens for one person. That's a very common thing that happens. for a lot of people, kids and adults. And like I told you, my fiance, killed herself 10 years ago. Well, 7 years before that, 8 years before that, um, she was drugged and SA and all that on the same night, and it triggered schizophrenia. And she ended up in a psych ward because of it. And then her experience in the psych ward was so traumatic that shadow people then followed her. And all these things happened and progressed because of her experience in the psych ward, because of the all that just kept building and leading up. And so, and then she ended up in many psych wards following that. She had, at one point, she called the cops on herself to come get her before she killed herself, at other times with other attempts. That last one was the only one that worked, but there were other tries before that. I want to say she was in 9 different psych wards before she died.
Wow.
In a matter of like 4 years. I know she was in 4 or 5 while we were together for the last 3 years of her life. So, it's I haven't ever heard of a psych ward where someone's like, it was really nice. I had a really good experience there. No one's ever told me that yet for both shows that I've done.
Yeah, that's probably the main reason.
So unfortunate. When you need somebody the most to give a shit the most, drop the ball.
Yeah, I could see why that. I don't know. It was just, that's probably the main reason why I've never tried it again. I've had thoughts of it again, but I never. That's honestly because I'm like, if it doesn't work, I'm gonna have to go there again, and that's no. Like I would rather it work 100 times over than having to go into one of those places again. And it's actually sad that a fear of going into a place like that that's supposed to help you is what prevents somebody from doing it instead of going there for the help. Yeah. So after that, I was in therapy. I've been in therapy now for 2 years. I've been in it since I went the very first time.
Yeah.
And from being in therapy, I've learned a lot. I've been able to set boundaries. I was able to learn more about things that happened to me and my diagnoses. From since I've been in therapy, like obviously I've had anxiety and depression before, but I've been diagnosed bipolar, as you know, and I also have PTSD too. They said, I think about a year ago. I think a year from when it was a year from when it happened. So yeah, a year ago, I started having horrible nightmares, like very vivid nightmares.
Yeah.
Of things that have happened to me.
Yeah.
Yes. Things that have happened to me or just things that could happen. Like I've had other people's blood, like I felt the wetness on my hand from other people's blood and my own in my dreams. Like I've tried different medicines. I know everybody's journey is different, but medicine just didn't work for me. It didn't like the way it made me feel.
I have to write it out. I have to either write it out or tell it to someone. So when I have these dreams, my wife has these dreams too. And so does our best friend. Our best friend takes care of my wife, is my wife's caregiver when I'm at work. My wife is a caregiver through the state, and we get to pick the caregiver. So we picked our best friend. And like us 3 are best friends. And whenever each of us has like a bad dream from our past, we talk about it with each other. Like that day, like, hey guys, I need to talk about my dream last night. And we talk about it. And I think finding, if your therapist is someone that you can feel like you can confide in about those dreams. How often do you meet with your therapist, Kaylani?
I go once a week. I've been going once a week since the beginning. So
do you have a notebook? Or even a phone? Do you have an iPhone?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go into your notes, start a thing for your notepad, like bad dreams. And when you wake up, write down as much as you can think of in there. Vivid as much as detail you can remember, put it in there. Whether even it's like, and they were wearing a red sweatshirt, bullshit like that, like all of it. And then when you see your therapist again, read them what you wrote. That's my suggestion.
Usually
it's me, and it's minimized my dreams from like 4 to 5 times a week to like once every 10 days.
Yeah, look, I usually don't have them that often.
Okay,
For
good.
in
Okay.
therapy, I realize it's only when it's like more stress induced, and your body remembers what happens to you. So when it comes to times when I guess we even call anniversaries of when those things have happened, that's when they're the most common. Of the things that have actually happened, things that have never happened, those are more stress induced from what we've realized. Um, and I realized talking about it has helped a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and it's crazy because within 2 years, my life has changed so much. And I honestly feel like that's because of being in therapy too. Like my mom's not in therapy with me, but for me being in therapy and me learning myself and learning new things and how to cope and everything has also helped her in a way, and just the dynamic of how we live now.
And
Um,
let's talk about this now. This guy, because
mhm,
for those watching who might not know, who don't know your story, your mom is now married again,
mhm.
right? Last year she got married. A year after your suicide attempt, your mom met it. How long after? How long after that abusive guy did your mom meet your now stepdad?
They were. It wasn't that long after because he was actually
Okay.
my soccer coach, so
Oh,
she knew
oh,
him.
didn't you play matchmaker?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did. Okay. And
Yes,
so look at you, little matchmaker,
I
little
know.
cute arrow, like setting that shit up. And so you liked him as a soccer coach, and you're like, I can
Hmm.
see that guy being my stepdad. I want him.
Yes,
He's not gonna hit me or
it
hit my
was
mom.
kind of. Yeah, it was kind of funny because my mom, you could tell she had a little crush on him too. Like she thought
Oh,
like he was cute.
yeah.
And one day, I guess I could kind of tell that he thought she was too, because
Hmm.
he wasn't willing to talk with many parents. But anytime I was like, "Can you talk to my mom?" He was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll talk to your mom." So I kind of just like read the body language and just the chemistry, and I was just like, you know, maybe this might work out. You never know. And she was just like, "No," and then now look, they're married. So no, he's really good. He's really good to my mom too. Obviously, no relationship's perfect, but
Yeah.
I honestly feel like it's the best and healthy one that
Hmm.
I have seen her in ever. Actually,
Yeah.
um, he's not the type to raise his voice. He's not the type to even lay a hand on us at all.
Yeah.
So, um, like I said, a lot of things have changed. Um, I am in a very serious relationship now with a person that I care about so much and very grateful for. Um, my mom likes him. He's never, ever even thought about laying a hand on me. His family is amazing. My family loves him. So, which is actually crazy because it's crazy how things just work out. He actually was the type of person who didn't believe in mental health and all that stuff. Yes, which is really crazy. So now with everything, like he's been
Mm.
more, which is also really crazy because his sister struggled with mental health, and well, I don't know if she still does, but she did. And from what he used to tell me, I'm just like, it was honestly a red flag for me at first. I was like, I thought it was gonna work out, and then eventually he learned like through how I am and how I react, and I have very big emotions for anybody. They're really big
Mm.
emotions. Um, and for me talking to him and just being like, yes, I feel this way, but it's not just being sad. It's not just crying all the time. Like depression is so different and it looks different in everybody.
Sorry, buddy.
And he was also just the way he grew up. Like it's so weird because he also thought was the type of person that suicide was like, oh, like a cry, like a cry for attention. But now, for me being with him and him seeing it firsthand and me telling him my story, like there's things that he says and I'm surprised because if I if he had said that a year ago with me knowing how he felt about it, I probably would be like, what did you just say? Like, I'd be surprised. The way he feels about it now is a whole 360. Um, so, like, now he's just like, I'm so grateful for you. And I'm glad that he's like, I don't know how to word it, but I'm glad it didn't work. And I'm just like, I'm glad it didn't work either. Cause he's like, oh,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be in my life and everything. And obviously, my mom's the same way, but It's
And how long have you been with
crazy.
this guy?
How long have I been with him?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a year on December 1st.
Oh
So
shit. Okay.
yeah.
And that's awesome. And is he your age?
He's 11 months older than me.
Okay.
So
And you'll be 19, so he's, we'll call it 2021. And are you a freshman in college?
yes, I am.
And but you still live at home. You just
I
commute to
do.
school? You
I
commute
do.
to school? Okay.
Hmm.
What are you going to
Yeah.
school for, Kaylani?
I'm going to school for political science with
Nice.
a minor in criminal justice and criminology.
Nice. And can we get your mom in to wrap this up before we wrap it up?
Yes. Yes.
I'm
Let
gonna
me text her.
call her in, call in old Connie.
Yes.
Your
Let
mom
me
and
call.
I sat right next to each other, homeroom, all through high school.
Mhm.
Like our last names were like right next to each other. So like,
Mhm.
you
Hey,
know,
you can come in now.
it's really funny. So,
Mhm.
and you and I
Yeah,
ended up
she's told
talking
us
longer than your mom and
stories.
I talked.
Yeah.
So didn't think we were gonna talk this long, but I didn't want to. Like I said, I'm never gonna shut you off and be like, we can't talk anymore, Kaylani.
Yeah.
So let's get your mom in, and I just have some questions. And have you ever done therapy with your mom, like in the
At
room?
the beginning, yes. But we both also have very big emotions, so it doesn't always end the best. But
Hmm.
I feel like that's the better for both of us is if we're not in the same exact room when
Yeah,
it comes to therapy. You can take that
yeah.
off. So hold on, let me scooch. Is it gonna fit? Hmm? Mm-hmm. You sure? I don't think it is. Girl, I'm not a size small anymore. There we go. Sorry. I've gained some weight throughout the years.
Big
Hey.
emotions, Connie. What's up? Long time no see.
I know.
Um, it's been so nice getting to know Kaylani over the last 2 hours. We've been talking. um, so 2 years ago is the day you had just had
Hmm.
surgery,
Yeah.
and your mom called you and woke you up. And
Hmm.
what did your mom say when you answered it? Were you like in a daze, like hello, like she
Yeah.
worked
Well,
her ass up?
so I was like knocked out. So when I got the phone call, she was like, Connie, you need to get up. And I'm like, looked at the time and I hung up on her because I'm like, I don't need to get up.
Oh,
It's the middle of the damn night. So
yeah,
then she calls me back. She's like, no, I need you to get up now. And I'm like, why? And she's like, Kehlani just took some pills. And then my body was in shock. I just said, get in the car. It was just robot mode.
yeah.
And
Where
when
was your
it
surgery
finally,
on your? Where did you have surgery at? Like what on what
I,
part of the body?
I had an abscess. So they did surgery and they gave me Percocet.
Where was the abscess at? I mean,
It was by my leg.
so your leg had the surgery, and you still were able to like run down the hall and shit, and be like haul ass.
Basically.
You had
Yeah.
that Hulk adrenaline where you're like nothing's gonna like that mom
Yeah.
adrenaline, like nothing's gonna stop my energy right now. Um,
Basically.
that's what I said to her. I'm like, your mom had that energy, badass. I was like, all
Hmm.
right. So my question is the thing that like kind of upset me. Why'd you stop at his house?
Oh, because I was in shock. Like I was just like I needed some support. I didn't have anybody
Okay.
here, and that was the only. You know, it was it was just a lot. Actually, there was a lot. This day, there's a lot of emotions. Like this is the day my best friend had passed. This was her birthday, the one that passed away,
Yeah.
and it was just like I said, it was just robot mode, and I needed someone there to support me because I'm like, when this finally hits, it's going to hit like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
So
Now, did you guys ever talk about like how Kaylani felt about stopping there?
no, she really didn't say anything. Not to me, at least. I knew that she was upset about it afterwards. Um, because afterwards, when she started therapy, I went with her and stuff like that. So I could read between the lines. She wasn't trying to tell me everything, but just listening and stuff. Because it was still like I think it was still
I was in fight mode when she was in the hospital trying to get her out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still like, I was still in shock. Like, I was still in shock. Like, even almost a month later, I was just like, did this seriously happen? You know?
I feel like he was the worst out of all of them.
Yeah.
You know, after like, because like you and I have talked, but after talking to Kaylani and her, point of view and her perspective over all the guys that she grew up around, um, I feel like it
Mm.
built up that that was like the grand finale before Kaylani's like, you know what, Mom, I'm picking the next one. Your picker sucks. Your picker's broken, Mom, and I got you. This is who
Yeah.
you're gonna marry now. I'm picking it, and this is done. I'm making this call.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. It was,
But she did.
yeah. Sometimes I'm like, because marriage is hard,
It
especially when you're
is.
blending a family and you have,
Yeah.
he has there's a 19-year-old, then there's Kaylani, then Jai's just really, that's my 16-year-old. He's just really like, eh.
Yeah.
And these two, it was hard and it's hard sometimes now. There's still some hurt feelings because, they said stuff to each other, but I'm just sitting here like, how do we get these two to mesh? But aside from that, I mean, when things are good, things are good. It's not bad like it was.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to ask you about before we end it is we're going to go back quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Why did everyone think you were in rehab for 2 years?
If I tell you the truth, Kaylani might not like it. Because the truth is, my family in Ohio and my great grandmother, who's still alive, she's 90 something, she's almost 100 years old, she's 98. She told me, she's 99 this year. She had told me that my mom had told them that. And I've never been to rehab in my life. Ever. Like, I mean, I was an alcoholic. Thankfully, with therapy and stuff, I was able to stop and not have to go there and leave my kids. But through that whole process, like, I'm surprised I didn't become an alcoholic again. I'm surprised I didn't keep drinking, like, I was in fight mode then. But yeah, she told them that I was in rehab when I wasn't.
But like, do you know why they used that? Was they were just trying to tear you guys apart? Do you think?
Yeah. My mom. So.
But what were you doing? What were you doing for those 2 years?
I had finished school. I went down. So the idea was, I had finished school. I moved to Florida, get a fresh start, get a place. My cousin was living down there. He had gotten a divorce. He had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And he was like, hey, you want to move in with me? I signed this lease. He said, you can take the master bedroom. I'll take the small bedroom. And then you get the other big bedroom to the kids. So I went down there to get settled. And I went down there. So Jamie passed away August. I went down there September. They were supposed to come with me December when the semester had ended. And my mom started getting the child support. She was getting about $1,300 a month in child support. So she finagled what she had to finagle. And she, when you're in court, you have to make it seem like I'm an unfit mother. And she was putting stipulations. And finally, a judge looked at her and said, you don't even have your own place. You can't force your daughter. Like, she literally sat in court and was like, she just needs to move back to Jersey. I said, you can't force your daughter to move back to New Jersey. Like, she's an adult.
Yeah.
So once, it's always my mom's number one motivator is money.
Money.
So the only thing I can think of is you have to make me look like an unfit mother to cover up what you're doing to your child, because why would you want to take her kids? I was not an unfit mother. My kids were always clean and bathed and fed, There was a point that we were homeless. They didn't even know we were homeless because I didn't let them know we were homeless, you know? And, I mean, she's here. She could tell you, I'll work, sometimes 2 jobs. So that they didn't.
We talked about you, Connie. We talked about you.
Yeah, so it's like I've never, like, I had, like, when she was born, when I got pregnant with her, I was gonna put her up for adoption, but when she was born, it was like, this is my, this is my child. I need to live for her, and I've always done everything I could for her. And I know along the way I probably made some shitty choices, but I mean, I'm human. But at the end of the day, the only thing that motivated my mom was just money.
Yeah. And don't worry, I told her that too. Because Kaylani, what was told to you that you were going to give up, that you were about adoption? What was told to you by, like, your grandmom?
It wasn't my grandma who said it. It was my aunt, the one who was supposed to take me.
Oh, okay.
And, I think that was when everything was happening, like when it started getting really bad, when everything with court was going on. And I was sitting there because I think it was at the age where the older cousins were too old to hang out with the younger cousins, and then I was too old to hang out with the younger cousins. So I was in that weird medium. So I was just sitting there with the adults, and she told me that because they asked us questions. They asked me and my brother questions about how we lived with both of them, so they could make the best decision. And she was telling me that because I was upset that they were talking about my mom, and she was like, she didn't even want you anyways. She was going to put you up for adoption, and I was supposed to take you. So that was hard to hear because, like I told you earlier, like she had always told me, like, you were the gift that I never knew I needed. And so then hearing it in a malicious way, it kind of felt like it was always a lie. But then obviously now I know. That
kind of breaks my heart. Like, it makes me want to cry because if I'm being honest and transparent, at 19 years old, you don't know what the hell you're doing. I never saw my
Kaylani's at that age. You imagine having a kid right now, Kaylani, with like new dude, and you know what I mean, and like, and he splits on you, and you're like by yourself.
And like, my whole thing is, the reason I always wanted her to have a good life. And I don't feel like adoption is a bad thing.
It's not.
And it wasn't that I didn't want her. It was that I wanted her to have a good life.
Yeah.
I didn't want her. I had this fear that
you couldn't do it.
The one that it's not that I couldn't do it. It's that I had this fear that I would turn into my mother. I grew up in a very abusive house.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the time, like, kids were not on my, and it was scary. It wasn't even like, oh, I just don't want her. First of all, I didn't even know what I was having until the lady messed up.
It's not like you were in your 30s with a husband of many years, and you guys were trying to have a kid and frustrated you couldn't have a kid. You were trying, you wanted a kid so bad, and then you finally had a kid. That's a completely different scenario than being 19 and basically on your own and being like, I got a fucking baby coming now.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, for them to make it into something malicious and tell her, well, she didn't even want you. Well, if we're being completely transparent, even though she was married, when she had her son, he's on the spectrum, and she didn't want him either because she had one with cystic fibrosis. So I'm sitting here like, but I'm not going to go tell a child that.
No.
You don't say that to a child, and you don't, and it's just like, you don't realize how that affects a child.
Yeah. You girls are wild. Not that you're wild, but just like your stories are so rough, and I got so much respect for both of you. Individually and as like getting through what you got through as a pair. With getting through your relationships, and for Kaylani holding it together. Like, I would have been drinking and doing drugs. I mean, I was, but I would have been getting high and drunk every
Mhm.
night just by having to get through what she got through all the time.
Yeah.
And I got so much respect for her to not go down those roads, when she easily could have.
Yeah.
And which also lends a hand to your parenting to the point where like you would be honest with her and let her make her decisions to be an adult. And she knew what that meant and she still didn't fuck around and find out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't like when she could have and she
Yeah.
didn't. And I think you held those together well. I just think you had a horrible picker, and and
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Kaylani stepped in and was like, I'm picking the next one for you because I'm done with this shit. We're done. We're done, Mom. You had your chances, and then you're done.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I don't know if she had told you there was one guy that he talked to her crazy. I was like, you don't talk to my daughter that way. And then she looked at me, she was like, well, so and so talks to you that way. You let this person talk, and I'm sitting here like, and in my mind, I'm like, well, it's different. You're my kid. You know what I mean? But when after everything had happened 2 years ago, you sit down and you think about it. I'm like looking at my shitty choices, and I'm like, I wanted to avoid her going through that trauma, but I put her through a whole different type of trauma.
Yeah, yeah, you did. Yeah, yeah, you
so,
did.
So it's just, I'm a proponent for therapy, and
Yeah.
even my son's like, he'll tell me, he's like, Mom, I think I need to go to therapy.
My 11-year-old's in therapy. My 11-year-old's been in therapy since he was 9 when my dad died, and he was like, I don't understand death.
Yeah.
When his step grandfather died, and he's like, I don't understand death. And we're like, okay, well, this is what happens. He's like, I don't understand still. And my wife and I are both in therapy. We're like, all right, therapy time. And he's been in therapy 2 years, Yeah. And then he lost his therapist and he went all summer, raw dogging life without a therapist. And school's starting again. And we're like, it's time. And we got a new therapist and he starts his new therapy next Tuesday, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
So yes, I am a big fan of therapy for no matter what age I think 8, 9 is a great age to start therapy. If you've had some kind of divorce, or something like that, or a traumatic event, this way you have a third party to kind of talk to that's going to listen to you and, hear your feelings and understand them and validate them, So, awesome. Connie, great to talk and catch up. Kaylani, you're a superstar. Keep doing what you're doing, girl. You're killing it. Super proud of you too. And like I said, I'm glad you picked this one for your mom. Great job. Great job.
So sometimes I feel like her decision was a little questionable, but
calm down. It's not all right. You're done picking this one. You're done.
I know. I'm done.
You're done. You're done. So, all right.
I
will talk to you girls soon. All right. Have a great night.
All right. You too.
See ya.
Bye.